We back, we back. Trying to get caught up on what's going on with Bibi Netanyahu. Bibi not gonna sue me, not gonna sue you. And Trump, he was just with Ukraine leader Zelensky yesterday. He just lying to everybody. He just a liar. Come on in, hitting the like button. Let's get it in. Let's go ahead and get it in real quick, fast, in a hurry. Let's go.
So we are tracking some of the major stories for this Monday. Taking a look here at a social media. Welcome back to Live Now from Fox, where we are tracking some of the major stories for this Monday. Taking a look here at a social media post from Bloomberg. It says Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and U.S. President Donald Trump will meet today, so Monday, to discuss the ceasefire in Gaza, whose troubled opening months are stoking concern that regional fighting could resume in the new year. Joining us now with an update all the way from Washington, D.C. is Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera. Madeline, good morning. What can we expect from the talks, later on today?
Later on today. So we're in phase one of these peace negotiations, and so far it's been holding. Israel and Hamas have accused each other of violating the ceasefire, but for the most part, it's sticking. And so now the Trump administration is keen on heading to phase two of the peace deal, which was always going to be the harder part because it involves a lot of thorny issues. It includes the creation of an international stabilization force, the creation of a board of peace,
Bibi Netanyahu not gonna follow instructions.
He's been asked to chair. We'll see what countries will be involved. That's something that could come up in today's conversations. But Israel has been very reluctant to move forward. They have said that they want to wait for the remains of the final hostage believed to be still in Gaza. They also concerned about the disarmament of Hamas, which it has not committed to do so just yet. And until those issues are resolved, Israel is reluctant about taking the next steps. The Gaza peace deal
and Trump is on board with this.
Today, Corral, Iran is also expected to be a point of conversation because Israel is concerned that Iran could be rebuilding and expanding its ballistic missile program. You may remember that the U.S. struck the Iranian facilities back in June. Well, now Israel is concerned that Iran may be ramping up its activity on that front again, and so they're expected to make the case to President Trump today that they need to take swift action on the matter.
So there's a lot really that we're going to be tracking, that meeting happening at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Madeline, before I let you go, you are reporting from Washington, D.C. We are heading into a brand new year, 2026. The president being in Florida throughout this week, but we are following a lot of things coming out of the capital.
Why he in Florida?
What are some of the major stories that you are following heading into 2026?
Well, it's notable that the president is closing out the year talking about foreign policy. So we expect those conversations to continue into the new year. In fact, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said in a post on X that U.S. and Ukrainian officials will be meeting again next week to finalize the details of this 20-point peace plan. Domestically, of course, we're heading into a midterm year. Congress is up for grabs in 2026.
Is he
so the president is expected to be making putting a real focus on the economy heading into next year. He already has been making those domestic trips. You saw him in North Carolina earlier this month. He also went to Pennsylvania, both battleground states. The president is making the case that his economic policies are going to be taking effect next year. You may remember that he's been seeing a lot of pessimistic polling on this issue. A Fox News poll shows that more than 70% of voters feel negatively about the economy, and a lot of them say that President Trump is responsible for the economy, despite the president's attempts to try to put this on former President Biden.
No, that ain't gonna work.
To make a real focus on the economy, talking about the affordability issue. So far, the administration has been closing out the year with a bit of a boost. They saw a 2.7% 3% inflation rate in November and a 4.3% GDP growth in the third quarter of the year. So they are looking at that as positive economic factors. Republicans feel bullish about this, saying that this could give them some wind in their sails, that they could regain the narrative on affordability. Of course, Democrats have been taking the offensive on that as well ever since the November elections, in which they rode a wave of victories on the cost of living. So that's something to watch out for heading into next year. Carl?
A lot of things heading into next year. Madeline Rivera, Fox News correspondent. Madeline, always good to...
Yeah. People need to stop lying to this man and tell him that this is not about Biden, it's about him. Yeah, that's what they need to do. They need to put him out of his misery and tell his ass the truth. You know what I mean? He kicking more people out of these conferences, these meetings and stuff, because they not saying what he want to hear, or they asking him real questions, and he not ready for that. Hold on, let me get this next one. See what this one's saying.
Adobe Acrobat Studio is all new. What can PDF spaces with AI do? Drag in research, drop in thoughts. Watch AI pull insights from your docs. You did your thing. It's time to share. Then let your team build from there.
Why is it
You
moving
can
so
do that.
fast?
Do that with the all-new Acrobat.
These transforming glasses are not a toy. Nobody believed me at first.
My glasses is full of crap. Hold on, y'all.
See if we can hear anything as the president greets Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu here at Mar-A-Lago.
Not too many people. They've been very fair, actually, for the last 3 days.
President Trump, are you going to have green lights for another
They've been fair. Like, they've been fair. He ain't like that. They've been fair. Like, and why would you have to tell me, not gonna sue me that? He is just crazy. He just don't know what to say about nothing, do it? He just say the craziest shit. They've been pretty fair.
See if we can hear anything as the president greets Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu here at Mar-A-Lago.
Not too many people. They've been very fair, actually, for the last 3 days.
President Trump, are you going to have green lights for another attack in Iraq?
Oh, he ain't like that.
Okay? Go ahead.
Mr. President, how quickly should
So he just ignored that question.
Literally as quickly as we can.
Trump, are you going to have green lights for another attack in Iraq?
Okay?
Green lights for another attack in Iraq.
Okay? Yes.
President Trump, are you going to have green lights for another attack in Iraq?
Did he just suck his teeth?
Go ahead. Yes.
President Trump, are you going to have green lights for another attack in Iraq?
Okay? Go ahead.
Mr. President, how quickly should a culture move to phase 2 of the peace plan for Gaza?
Literally as quickly as we can. But there has to be a disarmament, that we have to disarm with Hamas. So one of the things we'll talk about, certainly, but there has to be a disarming of Hamas. Otherwise, very quickly, yeah.
You know that ain't gonna happen. Why would somebody disarm in a war?
Did the military do that? Can you share your?
Well, it doesn't matter, but there was a major explosion in the dock area where they load the boats up with drugs.
Good
They load the
line.
boats up with drugs, so we hit all the boats, and now we hit the area. It's
I saw one guy early on another social media. He said there's more evidence of Trump in the Epstein files fooling with minor kids than there was or is that there was any drugs on their boats to Venezuela. There's more evidence that he in the files and that he tampered with minors than it is that there was drugs on that boat. And so now why did he take them out and why is he not locked up?
There was a major explosion in the dock area where they load the boats up with drugs.
Quit
They load
lying.
the boats up with drugs, so we hit all the boats. And now
Where's
we
the
hit
evidence?
Area, it's the implementation area. That's where they implement, and that is no longer around.
Is that not when you started about the U.S. Attorney?
I don't want to comment.
At least the president.
President Trump.
Eat what?
News.
Yes.
Implementation area. That's where they implement, and that is no longer around.
Is that not when you started about the U.S. Attorney?
I don't want to comment.
At least the president.
President Trump.
News.
Yesterday there was a
And that is no longer around.
Is that not when you started about the U.S. Attorney?
I don't want to comment.
At least the president.
President Trump.
News.
Yesterday there
Oh, wow,
was
he's so
an
rude.
explosion overnight, and the Russians say that Ukraine tried to hit the residence of President Putin. Do you have any information?
No, I don't know about it actually, and I don't. I just heard about it actually, but I don't know about it.
Did you speak with?
That would be too bad. That would not be good.
What was the outcome of your telephone call with President Putin this
I had a very good talk. I just heard about it actually, but I don't know about it.
Did you speak?
First you lie.
Say that Ukraine tried to hit the residence of President Putin. Do you have any information?
No, I don't know about it actually, and I don't. I just heard about it actually, but I don't know about it.
Did you speak with?
That would be too bad. That would not be good.
What was the outcome of your telephone call with President Putin this
I had a very good talk this morning. I waited till this morning because it was pretty late by the time we finished, like 2:30 in Russia, 2:30 in the morning, and we had a very good talk. We spoke at 8 o'clock in the morning our time, and it was a very productive talk. I mean, we have a few very thorny issues, as you can imagine. He knows about thorny issues probably better than anybody in the world, but it's working out. We have a couple of issues that we're going to get resolved, hopefully, and if we get them resolved, you're going to have peace. You're going to have Ukraine. They're losing 26,000 soldiers a month. Can you believe it? A month, 26,000 young, beautiful soldiers, and plus some people in Kiev, and relatively small, but a lot, still people, and it's a lot of people. But 26,000 soldiers were killed last month. Yes, please.
President Trump, are you going to allow Turkish forces, and do you expect Turkish forces to be stationed in Gaza?
So I have a great relationship with President Erdogan, and we'll be talking about it. And if it's good, I think that's good. And a lot will be having to do with Bibi. We're going to be talking about that. But Turkey's been great, and he's been, excellent as far as I'm concerned. I don't know about you. To me, he's been very good. Sure.
Tell me a little bit about your relationship
With President Erdogan, and we'll be talking about it. And if it's good, I think that's good. And a lot will be having to do with Bibi. We're going to be talking about that. But Turkey's been great, and he's been, excellent as far as I'm concerned. I don't know about you. To me, he's been very good. Sure.
Tell me a little bit about your relationship with Prime Minister Netanyahu and how important it is for you to see him be pardoned by the Israeli president.
Look, he's a wartime prime minister. He's done a phenomenal job. He's taken Israel through a very dangerous period of trauma. Israel with other people might not exist right now, if you want to know the truth. That's a pretty big statement, but it's true. I feel that. You had the wrong prime minister, Israel right now would not exist. because they were met with a force, the likes of which very few countries could have handled. And we worked together, and we were extremely victorious, to put it mildly. Now I hear that Iran is trying to build up again, and if they are, we're going to have to knock them down. We'll knock them down. We'll knock the hell out of them. But hopefully that's not happening. I heard Iran wants to make a deal. If they want to make a deal, that's much smarter. You know, they could have made a deal the last time before we went through, a big attack on them. And they decided not to make a deal. They wish
y'all
they
hear
made
that?
deal.
Before we. Yeah, man, you know what? You so full of shit. This is not our war. This is your war. Because you got deals with
I heard Iran wants to make a deal. If they want to make a deal, that's much smarter. You know, they could have made a deal the last time before we went through, a big attack on them. And they decided not to make the deal. They wish they made that deal. So I think, again, they should make a deal. They want to make a deal, but sometimes that doesn't happen. Yeah, please.
Mr. Zelensky, I24 News Israel. Would you support the overthrow of the Iranian regime?
Who?
Iranian regime.
I'm not going to talk about overthrow of a regime. They've got a lot of problems in Iran. They have tremendous inflation. Their economy is bust. Their economy is no good. And I know that people aren't so happy, but don't forget, every time they have a riot or somebody forms a group, little or big, they start shooting people. They kill people. And the people tend to, I've watched this for years, there's tremendous discontent. They form 100,000, 200,000 people. All of a sudden, people start getting shot. And that group disbanded pretty quickly. So I watched it for years. They're vicious people. Yeah.
Mr. President, will you support an attack, Israeli attack on Iran, if Iran will not have a deal? If Iran will continue with their ballistic missiles and also nuclear weapons?
If they will continue with the missiles, yes. The nuclear, fast. Okay? One will be yes.
So he's not going to answer no questions?
We'll do it immediately.
Mr. President, Honor Val from Channel 12 News. What are your plans regarding Gaza for the next few weeks?
Well, we're going to be dealing on Gaza. That's why this very great prime minister is here right now. We're talking about Gaza. We're talking about a lot of things. We have about 5 major subjects that we're discussing, and Gaza will be one of those subjects.
Mr. President, can you guarantee that the last hostages, AunTeaFee, will be released before we continue to the second phase of the Gaza plan?
Well, let's put it this way. Every hostage just about that's been released was released because of me, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, my whole team, Marco Rubio, Pete Hegseth. They were all released because of us.
It's hard to put into words the horrors that we've witnessed every day during our time here. Entire families coming to the emergency department, injured.
None were released in the Biden administration. None. They were all released because of us. Then we had a lack.
We'll continue to the second phase of the Gaza plan.
Well, let's put it this way. Every hostage just about that's been released was released because of me, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, my whole team, Marco Rubio, Pete Hegseth. They were all released because of us. None were released in the Biden administration. None. They were all released because of us. Then we had a lack of releases with respect to the dead. And all of a sudden they started coming back because I said, nope, you said you could do. We have one wonderful young man whose parents are right now inside. And he's, what beautiful parents, a beautiful brother, sister, and like a beautiful family, and they're waiting for their son. It's the only one left, and we're doing everything we can to get his body back. And the parents just said, hopefully he's alive. And I said, I'd love you to think that way. Okay?
President Trump. Do you have President Trump?
Out of all of these people, and I'm not just talking about the final 20. Look at all of the people. What do you think the total number is?
255.
255.
254 came out, one more.
Think of that. And we got them all.
President Trump. President Trump, does the reconstruction of Gaza
think it's going to begin pretty soon, yeah.
Before
He's looking forward to it, so am I. Look, what a mess it is. And it's been a mess for centuries, really. It's been a mess for a long time. It's seems to be born for that, but we're gonna straighten it out. No, we're already starting certain things. We're doing things for sanitary conditions and others. But Gaza's a tough place. You know the expression, it's a tough neighborhood. That's truly a tough neighborhood. Yeah, you had a question in the back? Go ahead. Yeah, please, go ahead.
I'm asking about the relationship between you and the Prime Minister.
You're welcome.
What about it?
They said that there is no good relationship between you.
I don't think it can be better. We just won a big war together. You know, if we didn't beat Iran, you wouldn't have had peace in the Middle East because nobody would have been able. The Arab countries who have been fantastic would not have been able to make a deal.
We just beat a war
Yeah,
together.
please go ahead.
I'm asking about the relationship between you and the Prime Minister.
What about it?
They said that there is no good relationship between you.
I don't think it can be better. We just won a big war together. You know, if we didn't beat Iran, you wouldn't have had peace in the Middle East because nobody would have been able. The Arab countries who have been fantastic would not have been able to make a deal.
Oh my God.
If we didn't wipe out their nuclear, we wiped it out. If we didn't wipe out with our beautiful B-2 bombers, if we didn't, and we sent a lot of Tomahawks in there also, by the way, from a submarine.
And what about the pardon that the President of Israel needs to give the Prime Minister?
A pardon? I think he will. How do you not? He's a wartime Prime Minister who's a hero. How do you not give a pardon? You know, I think it's a very hard thing not to do it. I spoke to the President, and he tells me it's on its way.
Mr. President?
Can't do better than that, right? Please.
President, can I follow up on Venezuela? Was the facility taken out by the U.S. military?
So he's just standing here.
CIA?
Well, I don't want to say that.
You don't have nothing to say?
But I don't want to say who it was. But you know it was along the shore.
Mr. President, have you or anyone in your administration talked to Maduro in recent days?
Well, I spoke to him.
Recently?
Pretty recently. Reasonably, but nothing much comes of it. Yeah.
Mr. President, can you explain the importance?
You have to understand what he's done. They've sent billions of dollars of drugs in. But maybe just as bad, they've sent hundreds of thousands of people in from jails, from prisons, from mental institutions and insane asylums. The drug lords, the drug dealers were all sent into our country. But think of it, what he's done. Tren de Aragua, probably the worst gang. They cut off people's fingers. One man made a phone call to complain about them. He cut off their hand. They cut off his hand. Don't ever make a phone call again. We'll cut off your hand. After that, we'll kill you, they said. That was in Colorado.
Man, quit making up stories.
All of the bad ones, they sent in some bad people. And that to me was just terrible. And they send in drugs. Now, I will say this. 97% of the drugs coming in by sea stopped. We're trying to figure out who the other 3% are. They have a hard time getting people to pilot those boats. But 97% of the drugs coming in by the ocean, by the sea, by water, are gone. Every boat that we take out, we save 25,000 lives of Americans. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you. We're going to have a big meeting, and we'll see you in a couple of hours if you'd like. And if you'd like, you can come up and have lunch like you did yesterday. Would you like that or not? You want that?
Oh, yes.
Because some of them think it's terrible. It's a bribe. But, you know, a bribe for $25, I don't know. If you'd like, you can go. And if you don't, you can stand in a driveway and melt. All right? But if you want,
I am so ashamed.
Margot? Is Margot doing a good job?
Like the cutest
She's too nice.
The cat.
Her only problem, she's too nice to you. And you're not nice to us, but that's okay. Margot, take them up and have a beautiful lunch, and we'll see you later.
The alleged strike on Putin's residence could scuttle the peace.
Yeah, I don't like it. It's not good. I heard about it this morning. You know who told me about it? President Putin told me about it. Early in the morning, he said he was attacked. It's no good. It's no good. Don't forget, you know, the Tomahawks. I stopped the Tomahawks. I didn't want that. Because we're talking about, you know, it's a delicate period of time. This is not the right time. It's one thing to be offensive. because they were offensive. It's another thing to attack his house. It's not the right time to do any of that, and can't do it. And I learned about it from President Putin today. I was very angry about it.
Now he your teacher.
Well, it came out. Well, we'll find out. I mean, you're saying maybe the attack didn't take place. It's possible too, I guess. But President Putin told me this morning it did.
One question, Mr. President. Can you expound on the importance of a strong relationship with the state of Israel? And Mr. Prime Minister, you call President Trump the strongest friend for the state of Israel. You work with numerous administrations, numerous presidents. Can you expound on that? What makes President Trump such a strong friend of the state of Israel?
Why don't you go first?
I'll say it again and again and again. We've never had a friend like President Trump in the White House. It's not even close.
Oh, so he done got what he wanted.
You can judge that by not merely by the frequency of our meetings, but by the content and the intensity. I think Israel is very blessed to have President Trump leading the United States, and I'll say it, leading the free world at this time. I think it's not merely Israel's great fortune. I think it's the world's great fortune.
Well, I just want to say that it's very important who the Prime Minister and President of Israel is. We have a great relationship. It was an honor to speak before your leaders. That was a great honor for me. I think it has not happened before, or something they told me. But the relationship's been extraordinary. And
can you get him to get you to release all the files? And see how good he is for you?
You wouldn't have Israel right now. Israel would have been, Israel with most other leaders would not exist today. They would not exist. And now they're stronger than ever. Yeah, please.
Are you going to ask Netanyahu to sign this agreement with Syria?
Well, I hope he's going to get along with Syria, because the new president of Syria is working very hard to do a good job. He really is. I know he's a tough cookie, and he's, you're not going to get a choir boy to lead Syria. That's the one thing I would say. So I hope they're going to get along, because I dropped the sanctions on Syria because otherwise they wouldn't have had a chance. We want to see Syria survive. So we're going to be talking about Syria too. Okay? Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good time. Go have a good lunch. Thank you.
After you hear these things, I think better to quit now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Better to quit now. I know it is. Huh?
Joining us now, MS Now international reporter Inés de la Cuetada and former U.S. ambassador to Russia and MS Now international affairs analyst Michael McFaul. Good to have you both. Inés, I'll start with you. So, look, it sounds like...
Hold on. That's not the one I want.
Out of that meeting, there were positive vibes from...
Hold on. Because I'll come back to this one. Did I just hear this right? That... Putin. Poo-poo. Did you just do what I just heard you did? I'll come back to that. Did you?
Breaking news, new reports just into the Situation Room that Russia is accusing Ukraine of attacking one of President Vladimir Putin's residences overnight. It's a claim that the Ukrainian President Zelensky strongly denies. CNN senior international correspondent Fred Pleitgen is joining us right now. Fred, you've spent a lot of time reporting from Moscow, accusing Ukraine of attacking one of President Vladimir Putin's residences overnight. It's a claim that the Ukrainian President Zelensky strongly denies. CNN senior international correspondent Fred Pleitgen is joining us right now. Breaking news, new reports just into the Situation Room that Russia is accusing Ukraine of attacking one of President Vladimir Putin's residences overnight. It's a claim that the Ukrainian President Zelensky strongly denies.
After he met with Trump, he sent a drone to take out Putin at one of his residences. And Putin got evidence on Trump. Y'all, please double tap the face of your phone if you're listening in on your phone device. It's 313 people. Well, I'm sorry, 427 people listening in, and I only have 20 likes. Come on, y'all. Double tap. If you're on your phone device, just tap it twice. It's no charge. It won't bill you. You're not sending me no money, none of that. It's just a thumbs up. And if you're on your computer, at the very top corner right in, over there, yeah, it's 3 dots. Hit those 3 dots. It will take you to the like button. Let's hear this. Ooh. Now I wonder, is Putin gonna blame Trump since he just met with the Ukrainian man yesterday? Ooh, y'all.
Breaking news, new reports just into the Situation Room that Russia is accusing Ukraine of attacking one of President Vladimir Putin's residences overnight. It's a claim that the Ukrainian President Zelensky strongly denies. CNN senior international correspondent Fred Pleitgen is joining us right now. Fred, you've spent a lot of time reporting from Moscow. What do you make of this accusation?
Yeah, it came from the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, Wolf, I would say about an hour, maybe a little bit more before or ago. And this was a press conference from Sergei Lavrov with some audio where he accused the Ukrainians of attacking a residence of Vladimir Putin in the Novgorod region, which is fairly close to Moscow. Now, the Russians are saying that 91 UAVs, drones, were used in this attack, that these drones were shot down, and that there are no reports of casualties. Now, the Russians, of course, irate about all of this. Sergei Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, Wolf, coming out and saying that the Russians are going to have to rethink their negotiating position, accusing the Ukrainians of terrorism. And the Ukrainians themselves, by the way, also very quick to react to all of this. In fact, Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, denying that the Ukrainians attacked this residence, claiming that the Russians are trying to stoke discord between the United States and Ukraine. Of course, right after that very important meeting took place between Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky and President Donald Trump in Mar-A-Lago yesterday. So the Ukrainians unequivocally saying that they did not attack Vladimir Putin's residence, whereas the Russians are saying that this did happen, that they are going to rethink their negotiating position vis-a-vis the Ukrainians and trying to end the conflict in Ukraine because of this attack, Wolf.
So are they any closer at all right now to a deal to end this war?
Where does this lead the U.S.? Because this don't have nothing.
Well, we just heard a couple of minutes ago, Wolf, that apparently President Trump just finished a phone call with Russian leader Vladimir Putin. We are still waiting to get some sort of readout from that, from the Russian side and from the U.S. side as well. One of the senior envoys of the Russians, Kirill Dmitriev, called these talks vital for peace, but it's unclear how much closer the sides really are to reaching some sort of agreement. One of the things that Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, said is he said that more than 90% of the sticking points, he believes, have been sorted out, but that there are still 2 key issues that have not been sorted out. One of them is the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, one of the biggest power plants, nuclear power plants in the world, currently held by Russia, but the Ukrainians obviously saying that this is their power plant, and what to do with that is still being sorted out. But the main issue remains the issue of territories, and if and what territories the Ukrainians would have to cede to the Russians as part of any peace agreement. Volodymyr Zelensky, Ukraine's president, saying a referendum would be necessary in order to do that. However, he also says that for a referendum to happen, they need a 60-day ceasefire. The Russians are saying that is absolutely not going to happen. They believe that the Ukrainians are going to regroup, so it's going to be very interesting. Not going to happen. They believe that the Ukrainians are going to. However, he also says that for a referendum to happen, they need a 60-day ceasefire. The Russians are saying that is absolutely not going to happen. They believe that the Ukrainians are going to regroup, so it's going to be very interesting to see what President Trump and Vladimir Putin spoke about in that phone call and whether or not any headway was made in that regard, Wolf.
All right, Fred Pleitgen reporting for us. Fred, thank you very much.
I want to just get your take on something that Fred Pleitgen, our reporter on the ground there in Berlin, mentioned. This idea that the Ukrainians believe that this is Russia's attempt to sow discord between the US and Ukraine. Also, they're using it as a pretense, potentially, for more attacks. And then also another pretense to get out of
this potential peace plan. What's your take on that? Is this sort of a ruse, an excuse by Russia to try to wriggle out of this peace deal?
I think that's very possible, Zaid, and I think Fred's exactly right. These are, certain ways in which Russia has done this in the past. They try to create a situation where they will take an incident that may or may not have been a direct attack on the residence of Vladimir Putin, one of the residences of Vladimir Putin in the Novgorod region, and make it a bigger thing than it actually is. It could be that there was an errant drone that went there instead of to its intended target. That's one possibility. The possibility is that it was a false flag operation, at least that part of it, that the Russians were using that, and they may have decided to go after, make it seem as if there was a Ukrainian drone, but it was really one of their own that they then shot down conveniently. But there are a lot of different things that we don't know yet, so there's obviously some degree of speculation here, Zain, but I would definitely say that the Russians have had the tendency in the past to try to wiggle out of these negotiations. They believe they have the military advantage right now, and they're going to do whatever they can to prosecute that advantage to, in essence, gain more territory in Ukraine, to gain a more advantageous negotiating position. Those are the kinds of things that they're seeking, and they think that they can do that, especially during these winter months.
Pet stores are trying to ban this $39 robot puppy because kids actually prefer it over real.
Assuming that this peace plan hasn't completely derailed based on this latest lines that we're just getting here, Zelensky is talking about the fact that he's actually willing to bring up this plan for a referendum, assuming that there can be some kind of 60-day temporary ceasefire. If he puts forward a proposal to the Ukrainian people about potentially giving up land concessions to Russia, which way is that likely to go?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I haven't seen any polling figures, but I know that a lot of Ukrainians are looking at this as, they don't want to exchange land for peace. Now, some do, so this may be a fairly close-run thing if they think that they can get peace and that they think they have adequate security guarantees to make that happen. But if they think that they don't have adequate security guarantees, if the Russians, let's say, attack in the middle of
You're right. Right after he met with him yesterday. You are right.
Probably tip the scales to a rejection of a plan like that. And so what President Zelensky can do, if, let's say, this plan is rejected, he can say, well, I gave it to my people, I gave it as a referendum, provided it to them, I put it, forward for their consideration, and they rejected it. He is basically not a loser either way, whether if he wins that referendum or if the referendum is approved, he gets to win. If that referendum is on the losing side, he also says, well, I tried, I followed the Constitution of Ukraine, and this is where we are right now. He don't follow the Constitution of the United States. There are certain consequences, of course, to each of those actions, and especially if the referendum were to be rejected, then what that would mean, Zain, is that it would be, probably a continuation of the conflict as we know it right now. So more of attrition, more, stalemates on the front, basically.
We're being told that both sides are closer to peace than they've ever been, but there are still a lot of headwinds that remain. Not to mention, obviously, the issue with land concessions if there is some kind of referendum, but also what happens with the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant. And then, on top of that, you throw into mix the latest accusations by Russia about Ukraine potentially attacking one of Putin's residences. We'll see what happens. Colonel Cedric Layton, live for us there. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. But let's go straight to our Elena Treen joining us live now.
Please double tap the likes.
About this
the face of your phone.
Vladimir Putin and President Trump, especially in light of the allegations that Moscow is saying that Ukraine has tried to attack, or rather attacked, one of Putin's residences. And what does that do to the peace talks here?
Yeah, I mean, it already, Zain, puts these very fragile peace talks in a more precarious position. We don't have much details from the call this morning between the president and Russian President Vladimir Putin. All I was able to get from the White House was White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt told me that the president just moments ago wrapped up that call with Putin, and that essentially it was a positive call concerning Ukraine. Now, of course, we know that the goal of this call was to walk Putin through what President Trump had discussed with the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky yesterday during that more than 3-hour-long meeting at his Mar-A-Lago club in Florida. But look, this is very much a wait-and-see kind of process. This is what I'm continuing to hear in my conversations with people, behind the scenes who are working on this peace proposal. I will say we did hear kind of optimistic rhetoric from President Trump yesterday after they emerged, like I said, from that 3 hours long meeting. He was saying that he believes they are closer now to a deal than they have ever been. We also heard from Zelensky. He said this prior to the meeting, but also after the meeting, that he believes that at least on the U.S. side, the U.S. and the Ukrainians have agreed to roughly 90% of the terms in this proposed 20-point peace plan. But it really is that remaining 10% that is the thorniest. In addition to what Russia is now accusing Ukraine of, we also know that there's a lot of questions over security guarantees. We heard Zelensky say yesterday that he believes the U.S. is now agreeing or going to agree to a 15-year security guarantee for Ukraine in a potential deal. But also this idea of land concessions. Will they be willing, both sides, to remove troops from the Donbas region? It's very unclear. Zelensky seemed to signal he might be open to that, and then he said that yesterday, and then today we've seen Zelensky actually posting repeatedly on social media, on X, saying that he doesn't believe that Russia is really, willing to do that. And then another big question as well is what will happen to a key Ukrainian nuclear facility. We'll have to see where these talks lead. All I know as well is that more conversations are going to be happening over the next several weeks. The president said potentially you could see more talks happening in Washington, but there's still a long way to go after that meeting, Zane.
Hold on. Hold on. While I'm getting to the next one, I need for y'all to get those likes up. Get those likes up. Get the likes up. Get the likes up. Okay, hold on. Let me get this one out the way. Oh my God, Fox Public. Hold on. They saying danger. Okay, hold on. Dang.
It's holiday shopping season at Curiosity Stream.
It's a perfect example of a last-ditch effort.
It's the best streaming service.
Joining us now, MS Now international reporter Inés de la Cuetara and former U.S. ambassador to Russia and MS Now international affairs analyst Michael McFall. Good to have you both. Inés, I'll start with you. So, look, it sounds like coming out of that meeting, there were positive vibes from President Trump and from Zelensky. But the reality is here, Putin's posturing really at no point has fundamentally changed. So are we looking at progress, or are we still where we started?
Yeah, I mean, that's the big question here. And you're right. We certainly heard optimism from all sides, really. As of this morning, when you heard it there in those clips, you had President Trump talking about progress being made. You had Ukrainian President Zelensky saying that they were 90% of the way there. You even had the Russians, as of this morning, saying that they agreed with President Trump's assessment that they were closer to a deal than ever before. I will say, over the course of the day, the situation has significantly changed. So you now
Ukraine
have the Russians accusing the Ukrainians of attempting to attack residents in the Novgorod region with drones. The Ukrainians are denying that. They say this is just another round of Russian lies, but the Russians are now saying they're going to have to revise their negotiating position in light of this attack. And President Trump was asked about all of this earlier as he was speaking to reporters. I'll let you listen to what he had to say.
He playing in your face, Ukraine.
I don't like it. It's not good. I heard about it this morning.
Did Putin tell you
that? Told me about it. President Putin told me about it. Early in the morning, he said he was attacked. That's no good. That's no good. Russian officials don't forget.
earlier as he was speaking to reporters.
Hey, Mrs. Tom.
He had to say.
I don't like it. It's not good. I heard about it this morning.
Did Putin tell you?
You know who told me about it? President Putin told me about it. Early in the morning, he said he was attacked. That's no good. It's no good. Don't forget, the Tomahawks. I stopped the Tomahawks. I didn't want that. Because we're talking about, it's a delicate period of time. But this is not the right time. It's one thing to be offensive, because they were offensive. It's another thing to attack his house. It's not the right time to do any of that, and can't do it. And I learned about it from President Putin, and I was very angry about it.
Put our questions on Super Chat and Super Stickers, please.
And the Ukrainians say this is really the Russians trying to hinder progress and efforts that were made over the weekend. Conversations in Florida. The Russians are pointing the finger right back at the Ukrainians, accusing them of doing the same thing. So we're waiting for more information on that alleged attack on Putin's residence, but that will
I covered it just a minute ago.
In the coming days.
Ambassador, I want to get your gut reaction to that. It's interesting to see the president's posturing there, saying that he spoke to Putin. He doesn't like it. He seemed genuinely sort of offended on Putin's behalf there. And it was interesting because in his remarks yesterday, as he stood with Zelensky, you have to remember in the backdrop of all that, ballistic missiles from Russia were hitting Ukraine over the weekend, as they were allegedly there to talk peace.
Right.
And Trump was at that time saying that he sort of took Putin at his word, that he was interested in rebuilding Ukraine.
I came out with it first.
How do you read that, that he seems here to be sort of more emotionally invested in, Putin's version of the story than he has been in Ukraine's?
Tragically, that's true. It's frustrating to me personally because
Trump was at that time saying that he sort of took Putin at his word, that he was interested in rebuilding Ukraine. So how do you read that, that he seems here to be sort of more emotionally invested in, Putin's interested in rebuilding Ukraine?
Putin got pictures of him stuck in Bill's pickle.
How do you read that, that he seems here to be sort of more emotionally invested in, Putin's version of the story than he has been in Ukraine's?
Tragically, that's true. It's frustrating to me personally because he's taking the side of the guy that started this war, that he invaded Ukraine, he annexed territory, he terrorizes and kills civilians every single day. You're showing footage of it right now. He has kidnapped children, and it's a dictatorship invading a democracy, and yet never has President Trump empathized or shown sympathy for the Ukrainian side in this war. And yet after one phone call that hasn't been, the allegation of this attack has not been confirmed by anyone, including our own intelligence community, he immediately sides with President Putin. And that is a tragedy because that does not serve America's national interests to be siding with the imperial dictator and throwing under the bus the sovereign democratic country of Ukraine. I just don't think it serves our interests in general, and in specifics of this negotiation, I do think this is a way for Putin to deflect from the progress that might have been made in Mar-A-Lago.
I mean, beyond our personal self-interest, Ambassador, how do you think the Europeans, the rest of the world, is watching this?
Well, everybody publicly has to put on a good face. I mean, I think if you saw President Zelensky's face yesterday when President Trump said Putin just wants what's good for Ukraine, he just wants to help Ukraine. You saw he couldn't contain himself, but he didn't respond to it, nor will any Europeans, because everybody agrees that in order to find a solution to end this horrific, barbaric invasion of Ukraine, they have to keep President Trump engaged. And that's why they're going to all of these efforts to keep talking to them. Europeans, it sounds like, are going to come in January to keep talking to them because they don't want him to slide back to his default position, which is to support Putin, which we saw this morning in those comments that you just showed.
He also made some comments about how the U.S. is allegedly safe because conveniently there's an ocean that separates us and the Russians. Take a listen to some of his remarks.
They've spent a lot of money on helping Ukraine. And look, they're doing it for themselves also, meaning their country, because Ukraine's a very important country. For them in particular. For us, it's very important. To me, it's their lives. You know, we're thousands and thousands of miles. We're protected by a thing called the Atlantic Ocean and lots of other places, to be honest. And they're not, you know, they're right there. But we're working together with them as we should be. But I'm doing it to save lives.
Ambassador, given the Russians' history of cyber attacks, attempted election interference, are we safe from Russian aggression because there's an ocean?
He knows. Absolutely, he knows. He got Epstein was sending Putin confidential stuff that he had on Trump. He knows. Yeah, I believe Bannon knows. They out CIA. Kayan. Oh yeah, he knows. Absolutely, he knows. He knew when he got that care package, that love offering, that blackmail information from Epstein that's in the emails. Yeah, Bannon knows, Epstein knew, and his brother Mark knows. Yeah, no, Putin absolutely knows. Yeah. Yeah, but he's loyal to pro-Israel. So he's loyal to Bibi Netanyahu. He want to make money, you know, off of Putin and Ukraine. But he absolutely knows. And he just waiting for the perfect time to slide some more information. Now, like I said before, when things didn't go right and Putin started feeling some type of way, evidence leaked. If some evidence leak, then we'll know that Putin ain't happy with Trump meeting with Zelensky yesterday in one of his properties. Residents got bombed. If we get some leaked information anytime between now and Friday, we'll know it's Putin.
Well, first, I want to applaud the president for caring about saving lives. I appreciate that he says that. I wish he'd say more about Ukrainian civilians, but that's a laudable goal. But the idea that the oceans protect us is about 100 years out of date. They didn't protect us during World War II. They most certainly don't protect us against cyber attacks, as you rightly pointed out, or ICBM missiles. This is not the 19th century. Those oceans do not protect us. And what I fear, because the president believes that, is he is going back to this kind of 19th century idea that what happens in Europe doesn't matter to us, what happens in Asia doesn't matter to us because we're protected. That was actually a very dangerous idea in the 1930s, the height of isolationism. America First was very strong back then, and people believed that attacks on China by Japan didn't affect us, or Hitler and Stalin invading Poland. We found out very tragically on December 7th, 1941, that those oceans did not defend us, and it dragged us into World War II. We can't repeat that again today.
Ines, if the U.S. starts moving toward what the ambassador just described there, a sort of 1930s version of the old world order, what will Europeans have to do? Or what are they actually already doing now to prepare for a reality in which the U.S. no longer sees itself as a sort of guiding moral and physical presence in that part of the world?
Y'all please get the likes
Europeans
up.
are watching this very concerned. I know, French officials I've been speaking to here in Paris are certainly concerned that these negotiations will not go in the right directions, that Trump may force Ukraine to make too many concessions to the Russians, and that the war could eventually start up again down the line, and the Europeans will have to figure it out on their own, that Trump will tire of negotiating this peace deal, or that he just will decide to no longer help Ukraine, and the Europeans will be left to fend for themselves. They are trying to, guide these negotiations in the right direction. They are pushing for security guarantees. That's been a big point of conversation in recent days. And I will say that there was progress.
Oh, sorry.
Made on that front over the weekend in Florida. We heard from the Ukrainian president that the U.S. had agreed to provide Ukraine with 15 years of security guarantees for Ukraine. The Ukraine would like those security guarantees to go on for longer.
And I'm sure Putin doesn't want them to get any security guarantees. Ines de la Quatara and Ambassador Michael McFaul, good to see you both. Thank you so much.
Hold on, y'all. Get the likes up, please. Double tap the face of your phone. If that's what you are listening in on, or if you're on your computer, hit the three dots at the top right. Hold on. Fox publicly part ways with Trump. Let's hear this. Poison war.
Gaza's population is on the brink of famine. Every
in 24 hours.
One eternity later.
End the war in Ukraine in 24 hours.
Yes,
How would you do that?
I know Zelensky very well. I'll end that war between those two countries in 24 hours.
End the war in Ukraine in 24 hours.
Yes,
How would you do that?
I know Zelensky.
Oh wow. And he acted like he done something. Y'all please double tap the face of your phone. Yeah. Gaza, man, this is crazy. Double tap, double tap. If Biden gave Ukraine what they needed in the first place. This don't have nothing to do with Biden. Stop that. The same deal that Biden was trying to give is the same one that Trump is pretending that he gave. It ain't stopped shit. It didn't stop nothing when Biden was negotiating, and it ain't stopped nothing now. So stop acting like Trump done something. It was all smoke and mirrors, Janos. And please don't come over here starting lies. Do your research. It's smoke and mirrors. There was never a ceasefire. I mean, there was never a deal. And Putin told us that, yeah, right after he left the last time. So shut up and go do your research. Don't come over here spread no lies. Yeah, but you brought up Biden. As if Biden would have did something. No. They want to steal. And nobody finna give their asses nothing for free. Damn. You give up your house. You give up your property. You give up your land. Give up your car. And tell us how you feel about that. Just because somebody want it. This is not our fights. You must not be a U.S. citizen. Where are you from? Yeah, he got more hate for us than, man, we need peace in the US. How about that? Get out them people's business. Get out their business. And the next thing you know, they gonna be dropping drones and bombs and shit in the US cause Trump trying to make business deals with these people so he can be a part of the new world order, and he can go over there, him and his nasty ass sons and son-in-law, and build a brothels with minor kids in there in these foreign countries. So miss me with that. He don't have our best interest at heart. And if you stuck on stupid with that stupid shit because you drinking that stupid Kool-Aid, you might as well leave. Yeah, we not new to what's going on. We true to it. So you're not finna come over here and steer a narrative, be a fake ass bot and steer a narrative. No. No, the more you keep talking about Biden, you gotta go. This is not about Biden. You should have said that when he was in office. Get your ass from over here. We are not finna steer no narrative and blame other people for his lack of presidency, lack of knowing how to do his job. He just sitting there stealing. Yeah. Now y'all get the lights up, please.
End the war in Ukraine in 24 hours.
Yes,
How would you do
lies?
that?
He
I know
lied.
Zelensky very well. I'll end that war between those two countries in 24 hours.
One eternity later.
I don't have deadlines. You know what my deadline is? Getting the war in. We don't have deadlines. You agree with that?
Putin is not interested in that, and Trump is being played again every step of the way. He got played in Alaska. He's getting played every
He getting
step.
played.
Oh, that's gotta hurt.
Well, it appears that Trump.
Now he getting played. But if Biden would have did something, he would be getting played now. Are you the same? Are you Janus? Yeah, you wasn't talking. You was talking stupid shit. I missed it. If I go up there and I catch you talking stupid shit, I'm gonna get you up out of here. Don't come in here trying to change no narratives like we slow. No. If you were doing that side life, I'm gonna get you up out of here. I'm gonna tell you that now. Donna already bombed 3 different countries. He is looking for war. Yeah. And then earlier I heard him talking to Bibi Netanyahu, because that's his daddy. That's his daddy. About Syria. Well, why was you bombing Syria? Now, and you want Bibi Netanyahu to talk to you, you're going to like them. I mean, all this is stupid shit. You can't even believe that they really bombing each other. I thought Syria was a problem. Now you want to negotiate with Syria with Bibi Netanyahu. So you need that woman's money. You need their money. That's why we in debt now to Israel. Y'all, you constantly getting your hand begging for shit because you trying to be a part of the New World Order. You think Putin is your daddy. I got my eye on you now, side life, so watch what you say.
Getting the war in. We don't have deadlines. You agree with that?
Putin is not interested in that, and Trump is being played again every step of the way. He got played in Alaska. He's getting played every step here.
Okay.
Oh, that's gotta hurt.
Well, it appears that Trump's ridiculous comment.
I don't have the 10-minute thing on.
Putin is not interested in that, and Trump is being played again every step of the way. He got played in Alaska. He's getting played every step here. So.
Well, hold on. It's not making folk wait 10 minutes. Let me fix that then. Thank you. While I'm fixing that, get the lights up, y'all. Double tap the face of your screen. Let me fix that. Thank you. YouTube popped up 10 minutes. Yeah, let me check that and see if I thought I put that on. Get the lights up, y'all. Yeah, do say 10 minutes. $10 minutes after you subscribe. Oh, let me stop looking at the comments. Y'all get the lights up, please. get back. Like, share, subscribe, join the membership. Let's go. Let's get it popping. Let's get it cracking. There's a lot going on. A lot of side deals, a lot of side hustling going on. Trump ain't no but a side hustler. Can't wait till they get his ass up out of here the right way. Hold on. Let's go. Oh, I may need to watch this one first. I like this. I like how he's talking. Pathetic. Trump.
At Shane Company, we're all about you.
It says pathetic. Trump licking BB's.
Can't stop looking
Gonna keep Gaza? Of course they're going to keep the 53.
I would say that it is anything but.
Let's go.
Yourself in a minute, okay?
Spank me, Daddy. Whining about it. It was like, yes, Daddy, can I please have enough?
Guys, we're going to have an amazing show tonight. Well, I'm Church Cenk Uygur and experience with you guys. We're going to have an amazing show tonight. Bibi went down to Mar-A-Lago, spanked Trump a little bit. Trump came out.
Now he like that butt cheeks popped.
Right about everything. So we'll get into that in a little bit. And then Israel.
It was more like, no, hold on, I gotta interrupt you. Already I got it. It wasn't like, oh, I'm whining about it. It was like, yes, Daddy, can I please have another? Right here publicly in front of
Spank
the American
me.
people in the international
Be
community.
me.
That's what it's more like.
Yeah,
I like my butt cheeks. You know I got these big hips for you.
Yeah, I don't even want to go there because that makes it too good. So no.
He got his butt cheeks
way more disgusting than
spanked.
that. We'll get to that in a sec. Also, Israel apparently wants to split Somalia in two. Why? We'll explain that. That's crazy. And then MAGA Civil War continues.
Spank my butt cheeks, Daddy.
Marjorie Taylor Greene and many other developments. But as we were about to tell you that, we're going on air. Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah.
So that's coming up in a little bit. And of course, the Minnesota story. Fraud. How big is the fraud? Who's at fault? And what should be done about it? All that on tonight's show. So Casper, take it away.
Well, we begin with the meeting of Benjamin Netanyahu and President Donald Trump. I would say that it is anything but a rarity these days because Netanyahu happens to be the leader who's met with Trump the most.
Spank me.
I want to give you the details of what was discussed. Let's take a look.
Will you support an attack, Israeli attack on Iran if Iran will not have a deal? If Iran will continue with their ballistic missiles,
You the daddy.
also nuclear weapons.
If they will continue with the missiles, yes. The nuclear, fast. Okay? One will be yes, absolutely. The other was, we'll do it immediately.
I'm the daddy.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is back in the United States for
He had to get him,
with President
tuna.
Donald Trump. And if you were under the impression that Israel trying to drag the United States into war with Iran was over, you'd sadly be mistaken.
Yeah, it's tuna time.
To rub together to know that Israel is persistent in demanding what it wants until it gets what it wants. And so here we have President Donald Trump moving the goalposts and including
Who moving the goalposts? He laid that pipe, y'all.
Sadly be mistaken.
Ooh.
All you have to do is have two brain cells to rub together to know that Israel is persistent in demanding what it wants until it gets what it wants. And so here we have President
the
Donald
man
Trump
went
moving
deep.
the
He went deep, y'all.
Including
He
Iran,
demanded.
obtaining missiles as enough of a reason to strike their country. Now, before I give you more details about this meeting and what was said, Cenk, your 2 cents?
Yeah, you couldn't see Netanyahu's left hand there because it was obviously up Trump's ass, and Trump was just saying whatever Netanyahu wanted. We're going to tell you what Netanyahu asked for behind the scenes. It was obvious in what Trump said in front of the scenes, and then we're going to tell you about how Israel is continuing to completely violate Trump's peace plan in several different ways, and Trump is aiding and abetting it because obviously we don't run our own country anymore.
Yeah,
well, we haven't run our own country for a very long time at this point, but Trump is really good at making it brazen and obvious. So, look, it is obvious that Israel wants to pressure the United States into more war with Iran. And Trump makes it clear that, you know what? I'm a willing participant. Take a look.
Now I hear that Iran is trying to build up again, and if they are, we're going to have to knock them down. We'll knock them down. We'll knock the hell out of them.
That is not our war.
That's not happening. I heard Iran.
Oh, did he just look at you? When you said we gonna knock him down, he said, yes. I laid that pipe down. Yes, sir. Oh, he's submitting.
Iran is trying to build up again, and if they are, we're going to have to knock them down. We'll knock them down. We'll knock the hell out of them. But hopefully that's not happening. I heard Iran wants to make a deal. If they want to make a deal, that's...
Did you come to knock him down? Ain't that what they say? Shit, I came over there and knocked it down for a little bit. Did you come to Mar-A-Lago? Is that why y'all at Mar-A-Lago? Oh, you came to knock him down. Hell, they thought you was the big guy. Him the daddy. You gonna do whatever him tell you to do. Yeah. Him the daddy. Little man. Climb that big ass tree. Yeah, you mush. Yeah, you mush.
Much smarter. You know, they could have made a deal the last time before we went through, you know, a big attack on them. And they decided not to make the deal. They wish they made that deal. So I think, again, they should make a deal. They want to make a deal, but...
how you...
Mr. Talbright, Nadav Melech, I-24 News Israel. Would you support the overthrow of the Iranian regime?
Who?
Iranian regime.
I'm not going to talk about overthrow of a regime.
The overthrow of the regime in Iran is exactly what Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israelis want.
Absolutely.
This isn't really about missiles or nuclear weapons. Now, sure, Israel doesn't want Iran to have nuclear weapons, even though Israel itself is a nuclear power. It has a clandestine nuclear program.
Who is a Trump's girl?
That, you know, it pretends to keep secret, but everyone knows about.
Who is a Trump's girl?
Non-proliferation treaty. Being a nuclear power means that Israel is never really in fear of never existing or having its entire country dismantled. They also have something known as the Samson option, which basically indicates that if anything were to happen to Israel where it would be dismantled, they would use nuclear weapons to basically destroy the globe. That is a literal policy in Israel that we should all know about. But our media, of course, doesn't like to report on it. No, this is about regime change in Iran. It's been about regime change in Iran for decades now. And Israel has been pretty clear about its plans to balkanize Iran, much like it has done with Syria. But Cenk, I'm curious about your thoughts on this.
Yeah. So this is one of three main asks that Netanyahu has. The third one was not mentioned afterwards. I'll tell you that in a minute. The first one is perpetual war with Iran. And so before the excuse was oh my God, they're about to have nukes. Now, you guys have seen on video Netanyahu saying that literally for the last 20 years, pretending it's around the corner. But we bombed their nuclear facilities, and Trump was super proud of bombing their nuclear facilities. So, yeah, they tried that every once in a while, and we showed it to you on the show. They'd send out one of their puppet pundits or politicians here in America, and they'd be like, well, Iran nukes. And that didn't work. The right wing was like, we already bombed their nuclear facilities, and Trump already said it's totally destroyed, so move on. So now they went to,
didn't I tell you earlier to put your questions on the super chat or super
other
sticker?
countries on Earth, Iran should not be allowed to have any missiles. They shouldn't be allowed to have any weapons at all. In fact, until every Iranian is groveling at the feet of the Israelis, that we should just keep bombing them, and bombing them endlessly. So is that the real motivation? Well, sure, they want to neuter Iran and absolutely destroy all of their neighbors because they view everyone on planet Earth as a threat. Oh my God, they're all anti-Semites. They're all going to kill us. We have to murder them first. So that is a huge part of it. But the bottom line, the most important thing is what Anna mentioned. We're going to keep going, guys. America is going to be forced to do whatever Israel demands, and you've now seen it with your own eyes. You saw it in Iraq. You're seeing it in Iran unfold day by day. Why do they want regime change? Why is not bombing their nukes, their missiles, etc.? None of it is ever good enough for Israel. Because what they're doing is systematically toppling every regime that would help the Palestinians or any other Arab countries in the area. And now Iran is a Persian country, but they have helped the Palestinians resist. They've helped other Hamas, Hezbollah, etc. All these things that Israel considers unacceptable. You must all bow your heads to Israel. You must all do as you're told. And so they've replaced the leaders of so many of those Middle Eastern countries. So tons of them actually work for Israel. They don't work for their own citizens. And Iran is their top target now. Before, Iraq was their top target, so we were forced to do regime change against Saddam Hussein. Gaddafi was a target, so we were forced to do regime change. It has greatly destabilized both of those nations, cost us thousands of American citizens dead, trillions of dollars on the so-called global war on terror. It's actually a global war on Israel's enemies. And now they're saying, no, we have to have regime change, and we have to have a puppet installed as the leader of Iran who actually works for Israel. Otherwise, we're never satisfied. And we can't do that on our own because it requires ground troops. It requires a ton. Iran is 4 times the size of Iraq. It might require trillions of dollars. So, Trump, come here, boy. Tell them you're going to attack Iran the minute I tell you to. And you just saw it on tape. You saw Trump saying, well, if they have missiles, definitely we're going to attack them. If they have nukes, we attack them immediately. But under all circumstances, we attack on behalf of Israel. So he's a dog for Israel, doesn't work for America. And to be fair, if Biden was in his place or Kamala Harris was in his place, they would do the same exact thing because almost all of our politicians are obviously owned by Israel.
I don't know that.
And when it comes to the question of certain nefarious forces that destabilize the Middle East or lead to terror, I would say that the real threat in that region is Israel, the country that's bombing multiple sovereign countries right now as we speak, the country that is obsessed with overthrowing leaders in various countries.
Can you not hear Kane? K4NG, can you not hear? You gotta go. I keep telling you to put your questions on super chats or super stickers, and you act like you can't hear. Side Life, do you need to go? With yeah, let me get you on up out of here too. Y'all act like y'all can't hear. Bye. Don't tell me who I am. Yeah, ask me by putting it on a super chat or super sticker. Then I answer. You can't answer for me. I don't know who you think you are, but you cannot answer for me. Like I said, put it on a super chat or super sticker. And he most definitely is a PUNK who suck on pickles. Yeah, he's a pickle eater. He sucks all the juice up out of the pickle. Yeah. I need for y'all to double tap the face of your screen on your phone if you have not already. Hi, Zimmy. Yeah, let's get the lights up. Double tap. Or if you're on your computer, hit the three dots at the top right. Yeah, get the lights up, y'all.
This point, considering how much insane restraint Iran has shown after the United States had struck its nuclear sites, I feel far more comfortable with a country like Iran having ballistic missiles as opposed to us providing Israel with all of the military weaponry we've been providing them for decades now. But other issues came up during this press conference, including President Donald Trump.
At the bottom of there is a dollar sign in the box. If you hit that box, it'll take you where it says Super Chat, Super Stickers. You can choose whichever one, and you can put a comment or questions on the Super Chats or the Super Stickers. Do you see the dollar sign at the bottom? It's in the square. It says Super Chat, Super Sticker. It says memberships. It says all of that right there. Okay, great. Thank you.
Trump's public demand that Benjamin Netanyahu be pardoned from his numerous corruption scandals in the country of Israel. The president of Israel, Isaac Herzog, has been asked to do this pardon, and Netanyahu has actually formally asked for the pardon. Now, Trump was asked about this, and I'm going to show you what he had to say, but I also want to make it abundantly clear that our team decided to use, we have cut in footage and imagery of Gaza to juxtapose the statements you're hearing from the president. Take a look.
Thank you, Sylvester Sly Brown, for the flowers. Thank you. Hey.
Look, he's a wartime prime minister. He's done a phenomenal job. He's taken Israel through a very dangerous period of trauma. Israel with other people might not exist right now, if you want to know the truth. That's a pretty big statement, but it's true. I feel that. You had the wrong prime minister. Israel right now would not exist because they were.
Stop lying. Well, it may because it's made up.
Handled, and we worked together, and we were extremely victorious, to put it mildly. He's a wartime prime minister who's a hero. How do you not give a pardon? You know, I think it's a very hard thing not to do it. I spoke to the president, and it's on. I mean, he tells me it's on its way.
Oh wow!
Our president declared that a genocidal, corrupt scumbag, Benjamin Netanyahu, is a wartime president, a hero. A hero.
Wow!
As we all just saw imagery out of Gaza, you know, showing an enclave that no longer exists. You want to talk about, oh, Israel might not have existed after, you know, what happened on October 7th? Really? Does Gaza exist right now? Do the residential homes exist?
I hope you had a great Christmas, Fly Brown. It's been a minute.
Do the hospitals exist? Do the refugee camps exist?
Yeah.
No, it is a stain on this nation's history that we are aligned with a country as disgusting and genocidal as Israel.
Yeah, so this, I missed an issue. You're right. There's actually 4 different issues. One was not talked about. I'll get to that in a second. Third one we're about to get to. But this one is personal for Netanyahu. Netanyahu wants to pardon, and so he wants to use his puppet, Trump, to pressure inside Israel. Because inside Israel, he actually does not have total control. There's a lot of different factions within Israel, etc. He has total control here in America. So he makes the American president say to his Israeli audience, now remember everybody, you should pardon Netanyahu, and Netanyahu is a wartime hero.
I had a
Without
great
him,
one.
Israel would not have existed after October 7th. Really? Without Netanyahu, the IDF would be so incompetent that they would let a handful of Hamas fighters just keep going and going and going and just take over all of Israel? That IDF is that weak? I mean, that's a preposterous statement. In fact, of course, Netanyahu, in some ways, funded Hamas. It takes about 45 minutes to get across Israel in a helicopter. It took about 6 hours for the main troops to respond. 7 hours. Netanyahu, at a best case scenario, was deeply incompetent in allowing October 7th to happen when they had intelligence that it was definitely going to happen, and they just somehow couldn't get there for hours and hours and hours and hours. At a bare minimum, deeply incompetent, but now a hero that saved Israel. Somehow they couldn't use their nukes, they couldn't use Iron Dome, they couldn't use anything, and they would have been wiped out without Netanyahu. That is Trump just getting right between Netanyahu's cheeks and going, I'll humiliate all of America. I'll do anything. I'll say anything, no matter how preposterous, no matter how absurd. I'll get you out of any jam, no matter how corrupt you are. In fact, it's not a matter of no matter how corrupt you are. He's like, oh, you're corrupt too? Oh, I love it. I love it. I love this corrupt guy who murders Palestinians with our money and starts wars with our money and our troops. Yeah, get on your hands between the cheeks. So that's Trump. So that's 2 for 2 right now. By the way, he says to the Iranians, oh, what? You should make a deal right away. You didn't make a deal last time. We told them to make a deal last time. They showed up to the negotiations.
High blood pressure. Oh, wow.
We bombed their country. We were lying. We weren't trying to make a deal. That's been reported after the fact.
I hope you got that under control.
On purpose to please the Israelis, and we surprise attacked them. And then the Israelis murdered their peace negotiators. Because the Israelis almost always murder peace negotiators because they don't want peace. They want perpetual war, financed and fought by America on their behalf. They're not an ally. They think we're a bunch of suckers, which leads us to issue number 3, where are they going to keep Gaza? Of course they're going to keep the 53%.
You drink green tea?
They're expanding the percentage.
Without sugar?
Continue to devastate Gaza's enemies.
Maybe some...
So I want to talk a little bit about what has transpired in Gaza since the so-called ceasefire. And I say so-called ceasefire because while
may want to get
it
back
is true
on it.
that Hamas has decided to stick to the terms of the ceasefire, Israel clearly has not. In fact, since October 10th, when the ceasefire was put into place, 414 Palestinians at least have been killed by the IDF, which seems to indicate that, the slaughter continues. Another 1,142 individuals have been wounded as the result of the IDF's military activity in Gaza post-ceasefire agreement. According to the Palestinian Chronicle, the office said in a statement that Israeli violations have included 298 incidents of direct gunfire against civilians, unsurprising, 54 military incursions into residential areas, also unsurprising, and 455 bombing and targeting operations against people and their homes. Now, Israeli forces also carried out 162 acts of destruction and bombardment targeting homes, institutions, and civilian buildings. The most surprising thing about all of this is that there's anything left to bomb, but apparently there is, and the IDF is bombing it.
Oh, it's good now.
45 cases of unlawful arrest
I'm all
during
on
the
here looking at what you need.
That's
Greek
a
yogurt,
euphemistic way of saying
bananas,
taking Palestinian hostages, which Israel is known to do.
Okay, you good.
It's just that they refer to them as prisoners as opposed to hostages. And while the headline is about the barbarism, this headline that I'm about to show you is about the barbarism of the IDF in the West Bank. I think this gives us an example of how far they'll go to slaughter innocent people. This was
I need to
reported
move
by
on. My
Israeli
likes ain't where they need to be. It's 380 some people in here. An hour and 28 minutes in. I need for y'all to double tap the face of y'all phone if y'all expect for me to keep going. Or hit the like button. Or leave. Well, it's up to you how y'all want to play it, but I'm not finna do that like that if y'all can't get the likes up. I'm sorry. Sorry. Ooh. exciting. Double tap the face of your phone. Get the likes up. Hit the thumbs up. If you don't have the 3 dots, then just go double tap, bump on your phone. It's free. It's not gonna charge you nothing. It won't cost you a thing. Hey, Janet. Get the lights up. I'm not playing. How many drones? 91 targeted presidential residence.
В ночь с 28 на 29 декабря 2025 года киевский режим предпринял террористическую атаку с использованием 91 ударного беспилотного летательного аппарата дальнего действия на государственную резиденцию президента Российской Федерации в Новгородской области. Все беспилотные летательные аппараты уничтожены средствами противовоздушной обороны Вооруженных сил Российской Федерации. Данных о пострадавших и ущербе от обломков БПЛА не поступало. Обращаем внимание на то, что данная акция была совершена в ходе интенсивных переговоров между Россией и США по урегулированию украинского конфликта. Подобные безрассудные действия не останутся без ответа. Подобные безрассудные действия не останутся Подобные безрассудные действия не останутся без объекта для ответных ударов и время их нанесения вооруженными силами России определены. При этом мы не намерены выходить из переговорного процесса с Соединенными Штатами. Вместе с тем, учитывая окончательное перерождение преступного киевского режима, перешедшего к политике государственного терроризма, переговорная позиция России будет пересмотрена.
Thank you, Janet.
Чергова брехня Російської Федерації. Зрозуміло, що вчора у нас була зустріч з Трампом. І зрозуміло, що і зрозуміло, що Федерація. Зрозуміло, що вчора у нас була чергова брехня Зрозуміло, що вчора у нас була зустріч з Трампом. І зрозуміло, що русських, якщо у нас з Америкою немає скандалу, а ми маємо прогрес, для них це провал. Зараз вони своєю заявою, що атакована була їх якась резиденція, просто готують, впевнений я, готують, в принципі, ґрунт для того, щоб нанести удари, напевно, по столиці і, напевно, по державним будівлям. Це вже у нас було в вересні, був ракетний удар по кабінету. Казала про це, про те, що вони будуть підбирати відповідні цілі. Ну, тобто погрожують. Я думаю, тут сьогодні, в принципі, президенту Трампу, його команді, європейцям, я вважаю, треба включитися і відповідно провести роботу з людьми, про яких ще вчора говорили, що вони дуже хочуть закінчити війну.
You know, you can't play with people's homes like that. The damage, no damage report after the alleged drone attack, Russia says. Or they may be lying. Putin will lie. I'm waiting for the lights to go up. Ilaki Bote. Trying to start a war, y'all. That ain't the one I want. Where, oh girl? Where, oh girl? Russia blocks U.S. airspace.
The response issued by Washington months of tonight, we begin with an ultimatum that U.S. officials had feared, NATO analysts had warned about, and intelligence communities had quietly prepared for. An ultimatum that unfolded not over months of diplomatic back channels, but in a single. Tonight, we begin with an ultimatum.
Y'all ready to get the likes up? We begin with an ultimatum. Hey, lady. Are we ready to get the likes up? Hey, Cynthia.
That U.S. officials had feared, NATO analysts had warned about, and with an ultimatum that U.S. officials had feared, NATO analysts had warned about, and intelligence communities had quietly prepared for. An ultimatum that unfolded not over months of diplomatic back channels, but in a single televised address. A single address that shattered what remained of diplomatic restraint. A single address that invoked Russia's nuclear doctrine by name. A single address that demanded Ukraine's complete capitulation or face consequences, Moscow described as irreversible. What Vladimir Putin did today crossed a line that Western leaders had hoped would hold. And when that line broke, the United States did not hesitate. They responded with speed, with scale, and with unmistakable resolve. For weeks now, there had been signals, not official statements, not diplomatic cables, just signals that the Kremlin was preparing something unprecedented, Putin has been aggressive, yes, but he has been calculated in his aggression. His moves have followed a certain rhythm, a predictability, almost a choreography. But what set off alarm bells in Washington and Brussels this week was that the rhythm went silent. Analysts who monitor Russian military communications know the indicators. The sudden repositioning of mobile launch platforms, the encrypted traffic between strategic command centers, the activation of early warning radar systems, the sudden recall of diplomatic personnel, all of that went quiet. And whenever Putin goes quiet, it means something is about to get loud. Early this morning, U.S. intelligence detected what they described as unprecedented nuclear signaling activity, including the movement of tactical warhead-capable systems that had not been repositioned in over 18 months. These are the kinds of assets that Russia only deploys when they are signaling something very specific: escalation, intimidation, or preparation. Western observers didn't know which category this fell into or whether it fell into all three at once. But what they did know was that Moscow was changing its strategic posture. And when a nuclear-armed state shifts posture without explanation, even by centimeters, the Pentagon pays attention. Putin's address came hours later. He demanded Ukraine withdraw from territories Russia claims to have annexed. He demanded NATO cease all weapons transfers, and he warned that any violation would be met with all means of Russia's disposal, universally understood to include nuclear options. The response issued by Washington tonight was not normal. It was not routine. It was not symbolic. It was urgent. Official after official, briefing after briefing described Putin's move as reckless, destabilizing, and perhaps most importantly, a fundamental miscalculation of Western resolve.
Putin the daddy.
Ultimatums only work if the target hesitates.
Came and gave him a treatment.
And neither did the United States.
He got a tune-up.
America's response today was among the most significant military aid announcements we've seen since the war began. Here's what we know. Within 6 hours of Putin's address, the Pentagon announced an emergency.
No, that's Bibi Netanyahu. I'm sorry. Putin got the pictures.
$2.3 billion. These weren't the standard ammunition resupplies or armored vehicle transfers. These were advanced long-range strike systems, weapons that the United States only authorizes when they are preparing to fundamentally reshape a battlefield. Tonight, Pentagon officials confirmed that the United States is fast-tracking delivery of extended-range ATAC-MS missiles, additional Patriot air defense batteries, and critical components for F-16 fighter operations, including munitions that had previously been restricted for what analysts believe was escalation management. Washington moved before Moscow could consolidate any psychological advantage. They authorized strikes deeper into Russian-held territory. They greenlit targeting of logistics hubs that supply frontline Russian forces. They approved systems capable of reaching command centers that were likely coordinating the ultimatum's military backing. In other words, the U.S. targeted Russia's ability to make good on its threats. The infrastructure that would have made Putin's ultimatum operational. This is what made Washington's response so urgent. Putin's ultimatum wasn't just symbolic, it was actionable. It represented the kind of coercion that could reshape European security if left unchallenged. And the United States, understanding that fully, responded with force, not recklessly, not impulsively.
Can you hit the like button for me, please?
They didn't escalate to match Russia's rhetoric. They didn't engage in nuclear posturing of their own. They hit the conventional capabilities that made the ultimatum credible. They reinforced Ukraine's ability to defend and strike back. It represented the kind of coercion that could reshape European security if left unchallenged. And the United States, understanding that fully, responded with force, not recklessly, not impulsively, but strategically. They didn't escalate to match Russia's rhetoric. They didn't engage in nuclear posturing of their own. They hit the conventional capabilities that made the ultimatum credible. They reinforced Ukraine's ability to defend and strike back. And here's where the story becomes even more significant. Intelligence officials now believe that Putin's ultimatum nuclear posturing of their own. They hit the conventional capabilities that made the ultimatum credible. They reinforced Ukraine's ability to defend and strike back. And here's where the story becomes even more significant. Intelligence officials now believe that Putin's ultimatum was designed to test the cohesion of Western support after months of political uncertainty in Washington. Putin wanted to see whether the U.S. would fracture under pressure. But instead, the opposite happened. The Biden administration didn't delay or debate. They announced a response that was so swift, so comprehensive, that even the Kremlin took notice. You don't get Moscow's attention easily. But today, Washington did. Defense analysts speaking with Reuters under anonymity described Putin's shift as coercive diplomacy, a way to extract concessions through fear rather than negotiation. But Ukraine and its allies proved today that they remain both unified and capable. Their response was not only immediate, it was calibrated so precisely that it addressed every major threat vector Putin had implied. That precision matters because it shows intelligence preparation. It shows that Washington is not reacting to Moscow. They are anticipating Moscow. As reports continued coming in throughout the evening, we learned more about the scale of America's response. The Pentagon carried out emergency consultations with NATO allies, forcing a unified statement within hours. European partners targeted gaps in Ukraine's air defense that had been exposed in the last 30 days. Intelligence assets operating across Eastern Europe reportedly increased surveillance of Russian nuclear-capable units by 300%. This wasn't just military aid. This wasn't just diplomatic signaling. This was strategic reinforcement. This was deterrence in action. And deterrence is the one thing Putin has struggled to break since February 2022. For every escalation Russia has attempted, the West has countered with something that raises the cost of further aggression. Remember, Putin thought the West would tire of supporting Ukraine. He thought European energy dependence would fracture NATO unity. He thought American political divisions would paralyze decision-making. But tonight, the exact opposite is happening. NATO is more unified than at any point since the Cold War. European nations are increasing, not decreasing, their military contributions. And the United States just announced its largest emergency aid package in over a year. What makes this moment so dangerous and so revealing is that Putin's ultimatum happened at a time when he is under mounting domestic pressure. Military hardliners want faster territorial gains. Economic advisors want sanctions relief. Security services want internal stability. Nationalist voices want visible victories. Putin is balancing these demands while managing a war that has already cost Russia over 350,000 casualties. And when leaders in that position make sudden moves, they're not doing it from strength. They're doing it from pressure. They're doing it from vulnerability. The State Department's statement, now circulating through diplomatic channels worldwide, was designed to signal that Washington is not willing to allow nuclear coercion to succeed. Officials said plainly that Russia's ultimatum was inconsistent with responsible nuclear state behavior. That is diplomatic language for this is unacceptable and there will be consequences. You don't usually hear that tone from Foggy Bottom unless something serious is at stake. Meanwhile, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky addressed his nation in a defiant, measured speech tonight. He said,
but I hope he released that
under the shadow of
Trump
nuclear blackmail.
On
he said
bubble
every
pictures
ultimatum from Moscow only strengthens our resolve.
His karma hit.
And he said history will remember who stood for freedom and who surrendered to fear. These are not rhetorical flourishes. These are statements from a nation that understands just how high the stakes have become. Here's what makes the situation even more concerning. Putin's ultimatum wasn't isolated. Along with his nuclear rhetoric, Belarus announced joint military exercises along Ukraine's northern border. Iran confirmed delivery of additional Shahed drone components. North Korea reportedly accelerated artillery ammunition shipments to Russian ports. All of this happened within the same 72-hour window. When Moscow moves multiple pieces at once, it means something larger is underway. Analysts are now considering several possibilities. One is that Putin is preparing for a major spring offensive. Another is that Putin is attempting to freeze the conflict on current territorial lines. A third possibility, the one worrying officials the most, is that Putin is attempting to establish nuclear threats as a legitimate negotiating tool. But today, Washington took that card off the table. They didn't wait for European consensus. They didn't condition their response on Russian de-escalation. They didn't offer Putin an off-ramp at Ukraine's expense. They reinforced Ukraine's ability to fight and to win. What we're watching now is a test of resolve. Putin wants to see whether nuclear threats can divide the Western alliance. Ukraine wants to show that sovereignty cannot be bargained away.
Yeah.
Washington wants to prevent nuclear coercion from becoming normalized.
Thank you, Jen.
And Europe wants to prevent this war from spreading beyond Ukraine's borders. Tonight, we've heard from NATO officials who are now monitoring Russian nuclear forces around the clock. They say there is no indication of imminent nuclear use. They say Putin's rhetoric exceeds his apparent operational preparations. And they say Russia's decision to issue this ultimatum is likely part of a broader pressure campaign intended to influence Western political calendars. But Ukraine is not backing down. In fact, Ukraine is intensifying operations in multiple sectors. Their response today, swift, targeted, and unapologetic, sent a message to Putin that threats will not produce concessions. And it sent a message to Washington that their support is making a measurable difference. As the days ahead unfold, we expect more details to emerge about what exactly Putin hoped to achieve. But what we do know is that America's response was timely. It reinforced Ukrainian morale at a critical moment. It demonstrated Western unity under pressure. And it raised the cost of future Russian escalation. What happens next will depend on what Putin does in the next 72 hours. If he de-escalates, this moment will be remembered as the ultimatum that backfired. If he doubles down, Washington and its allies have already shown they are prepared for prolonged confrontation. They have shown they are ready to respond. And tonight, for the first time in months, Putin appears to be recalculating. The Kremlin is quiet, too quiet. And when Putin is quiet, it means he is strategizing. It means he is choosing his next move carefully. Because tonight, Vladimir Putin learned something he has learned many times before. Nuclear threats do not divide democracies, they unite them. Ultimatums do not weaken resolve, they strengthen it. And underestimating the West remains his greatest strategic error. This story is far from over. But tonight, one thing is clear. Ukraine is still fighting, America is still committed. And Putin's ultimatum has already failed. And we will be here, watching every detail as the next phase unfolds.
Where we at? Where we at? They on fire? Hold on.
Tonight, the war reached a place it was never supposed to go. In a stunning escalation that shifts the very geography of this conflict, Ukrainian forces have struck the heart of the Russian capital. Multiple explosions rocked facilities on the outskirts of Moscow.
Wait a minute.
Tonight, the war reached a place it was never supposed to go. In a stunning escalation that shifts the very geography of this conflict, Ukrainian forces have struck the heart of the Russian capital.
Ooh.
Multiple explosions rocked facilities on the outskirts of Moscow in a precise, audacious operation that signals a dramatic new phase. This strike is a direct and unambiguous response to a devastating Russian missile attack on a Ukrainian pediatric hospital and city center just days ago, an attack that killed dozens of civilians, including children. Ukraine's message, delivered not with a statement but with explosives, is clear. The capacity for devastating long-range strikes is no longer a Russian monopoly.
Oh, Lord.
For the first time, the tangible fear that has gripped Ukrainian cities for over 2 years has arrived in Moscow. This report details how the operation unfolded, the sophisticated technology that made it possible, and the profound global consequences of this dangerous new reality. The immediate catalyst was an event that marked a grim midyear in Russia's campaign against civilian infrastructure. 3 days prior,
Trump talking about I know him well.
City of Dnipro, residents were navigating a route morning when the air raid sirens wailed. What followed was not a strike on a distant military base, but a direct hit on a bustling marketplace and, catastrophically, the city's main pediatric hospital. The attack, carried out with a combination of high-precision Russian K-101 cruise missiles and lower-cost Iranian Shahed drones, reduced a wing of the hospital to smoldering rubble. Rescue workers, operating under the constant threat of follow-up strikes, spent days digging through the debris of the children's cancer ward. The final death toll surpassed 40, with graphic images of bloodied toys and destroyed incubators flooding global media. United Nations investigators reviewing the evidence stated the attack showed all the hallmarks of a deliberate strike on a protected civilian object, potentially constituting a war crime. For the Ukrainian political and military leadership, this was not just another tragic statistic in a long list. It represented a deliberate intensification of terror, a move from striking energy grids to directly targeting centers of innocent life. The calculus in Kyiv changed. The policy of measured response of absorbing blows while fighting a largely defensive war on its own territory was deemed insufficient. A decision was made to rewrite the rules of engagement. The operation that unfolded over Moscow was the product of this decisive shift. According to senior sources within Ukraine's security apparatus, planning had been underway for months, but the Dnipro attack provided the final authorization. The strike was not a haphazard launch of drones toward a city. It was a meticulously coordinated, multi-platform assault designed to penetrate one of the most dense and technologically advanced air defense networks in the world, the rings of S-400 and S-300 missile systems guarding the Russian capital. Intelligence suggests the attack utilized a hybrid swarm of unmanned aerial vehicles. Some were long-range modified Ukrainian drones capable of flying distances exceeding 1,000 kilometers. Others are believed to have been a new, previously undisclosed variant of an indigenous Ukrainian cruise missile, potentially an evolution of the HRIM-2 system, with significantly improved range and stealth characteristics. These platforms were launched from multiple points, not from Ukrainian territory, but likely from within Russia itself, utilizing secretive forward operating areas established by Ukrainian special forces or partisan networks. They flew not in a direct line, but on circuitous, pre-programmed routes, skimming the ground at extremely low altitudes to avoid radar detection, a technique known as terrain following. Their flight paths were deliberately plotted to approach Moscow from different, unexpected vectors, overwhelming and confusing defensive systems. The technological sophistication did not end with the aircraft themselves. Western electronic warfare analysts studying the aftermath point to a crucial supporting element, a coordinated cyber electronic warfare campaign that preceded the kinetic strike. In the hours before the drones and missiles entered their terminal phase, Ukrainian units are believed to have launched targeted jamming attacks against specific Russian early warning radars and air traffic control sectors along the southern and western approaches to Moscow. This did not create a wide-open hole, but rather temporary shadows or blind spots, narrow corridors in the electronic spectrum through which the attacking swarm could pass with a higher probability of penetration. This combination of advanced, low observable platforms, complex swarm tactics, and supportive electronic warfare represents a quantum leap in Ukrainian capability. It moves their strategic reach from the theoretical to the devastatingly practical, demonstrating an ability to plan and execute a complex, deep strike mission against a peer adversary's most guarded location. The targets selected were themselves a statement of strategic intent. Ukrainian military intelligence, the GUR, which claimed responsibility, stated the aim was to degrade Russia's capacity to wage its campaign of aerial terror. The sites struck were not residential apartments or public squares. Early analysis of satellite imagery and ground reports points to 3 primary types of facilities. The first was a command and control node associated with the Russian Aerospace Forces, VKS, the branch responsible for coordinating the very missile and drone attacks on Ukraine. The second was a major logistics and storage hub believed to be central to the distribution and assembly of Iranian-supplied Shahed drones before their deployment to launch sites. The third was a research and development complex linked to Russia's own domestic long-range drone programs. In short, Ukraine struck at the brain, the supply line, and the factory of Russia's strategic strike capability. This targeting choice was calibrated to be legally justifiable under the laws of war as strikes on legitimate military objectives, drawing a stark contrast with Russia's attack on the Dnipro hospital. Commercial satellite images from companies like Planet Labs, taken in the aftermath, show clear structural damage to warehouse buildings at the suspected logistics hub, with signs of firefighting activity. At the VKS facility, imagery indicates a probable impact on a communications annex. The Russian state's response has been a study in controlled dissonance. Officially, the Ministry of Defense confirmed a drone attack was attempted, claiming its air defense forces neutralized all participating aircraft. It stated that falling debris caused insignificant damage to 2 non-residential buildings. No imagery of the damaged sites has been released by Russian authorities. This official narrative of a nuisance attack neatly thwarted clashes violently with the visual evidence and the audible reality experienced by Muscovites who reported multiple explosions and the sound of air defense systems engaging. It also clashes with the frenetic activity observed on Russian social media and Telegram channels, where reports of the strike spread rapidly, accompanied by photos of smoke plumes and emergency service vehicles. The Kremlin's primary imperative is to maintain the facade of normalcy and absolute control, a facade that now has visible cracks. The historical echoes of this escalation are dark and resonant. The deliberate targeting of civilian centers to break an opponent's will is a thread running through modern Russian military doctrine. It was seen in the utter destruction of Grozny in Chechnya in 1999 and in the brutal siege of Aleppo, Syria in 2016, where Russian air power systematically reduced neighborhoods to rubble. In Ukraine, this strategy has been operational since the initial siege of Mariupol. For over 2 years, Ukraine has absorbed this punishment, its retaliatory strikes largely confined to the occupied territories or border regions. Even the dramatic attack on the Kerch Bridge, a symbol of Russian occupation, was against infrastructure in annexed Crimea, not internationally recognized Russia. Previous drone incidents over Moscow were limited, causing minimal damage and appearing more symbolic than strategic. Tonight's events are fundamentally different. This was a coordinated, militarily significant strike on the capital's security infrastructure. It represents a crossing of a psychological and strategic Rubicon, moving the conflict from a war over territory in Ukraine to a war where the homelands of both belligerents are now part of the battlefield. Inside Russia, the political tremors are immediate. The Kremlin's legitimacy is built on a promise of stability and the restoration of national power. The first is now visibly shattered. The second is called into question by the successful penetration of its defenses. For the urban elite in Moscow and St. Petersburg, those largely insulated from the war's consequences, the conflict is no longer a distant news item. It is the sound of explosions over their own suburbs. The tightly controlled state media narrative is being challenged by the alternative information sphere of Telegram, where nationalist military bloggers, often critical of the defense ministry, are lambasting the failure. Their anger is not directed at Ukraine, but at the Russian military command, with calls for resignations and accusations of incompetence reaching a fever pitch. This strike has not just damaged buildings, it has damaged the myth of invincibility and perfect control that the Putin system cultivates. The global reaction is one of heightened alarm and delicate calibration.
Putin gonna send them pictures.
Officials received private warning from Kyiv that a major response to Russian war crimes was imminent, though specifics were withheld. Public statements like that from the U.S. National Security Council reaffirmed support for Ukraine's right to self-defense, but carefully expressed concern over escalation and note that America does not enable strikes on Russian territory. This fine line reflects the enduring dilemma: how to ensure Ukraine can defend itself without triggering a direct NATO-Russia confrontation. In European Union headquarters, emergency meetings are assessing the implications for security and aid. A rift is evident between Eastern members, who see the strike as justified deterrence, and Western members like Germany and France, who openly worry about an uncontrollable cycle of retaliation. Economically, the shockwaves.
Hold on, let me hear this guy. I like him. Let me hear what he's saying.
From Bali. In fact, if you...
Hold on.
Finally! It's good morning and welcome. How long I have waited to be able to say that. Coming to you live from Bali. In fact, if you listen carefully, you can hear the roar of the mighty Indian Ocean coming across the bay from Lombok, just behind me. I'm very sorry about the delay in beginning the show. It has been a magnificent, Herculean technical task for which I'm grateful to everyone who participated. So, little Zelensky is in Mar-A-Lago, and Donald Trump's never off the phone with President Putin. Is it the denouement? Well, it certainly is for the beautiful Brigitte Bardot, who's passing at the age of 91. We mark on this show tonight. She once came to Scotland to see me in 1966. Well, not quite to see me, but to a place that I used to work. And she cavorted on the sands of Ghislaine, or Gillen, which I used to, once upon a time, do myself. It's going to be the mother of all talk shows. Oh, and what's this thing they call Somaliland? You're about to find out, because it is the mother of all talk shows.
Okay, I thought he was going to go off into it.
Finally, it's good.
Yeah, he is his puppet.
Instantaneous. The Moscow exchange briefly halted trading. The Russian ruble dipped sharply against major currencies, and global oil prices jumped over 4% on fears of expanded conflict disrupting energy markets.
I don't
A new
know
security premium
what to
is
think
being
about
priced.
this. Hold on. North Korea and Japan go to war. So everybody's finna go to war. What's going on in North Korea and Japan?
Imagine the world in 2026. Tensions between North Korea and Japan escalate to a breaking point. The question on everyone's mind, if war erupts, who truly loses? North Korea, with its massive army of over 1 million troops and thousands of artillery pieces pointed directly at South Korea, seems like a formidable opponent, but numbers alone don't win wars. Their conventional forces are outdated, their technology decades behind, and their economy strained, leaving them vulnerable in a prolonged conflict. Japan, on the other hand, may have a smaller army in terms of manpower, but its self-defense forces are some of the most advanced in the world. Equipped with F-35 fighters, Aegis missile systems, and a modern navy capable of controlling the seas. The technological gap is enormous, and Japan's military is highly trained, disciplined, and battle-ready. Now, add geography into the mix. Japan's island position makes a direct North Korean invasion nearly impossible, while Japan can strike with precision using air and naval power. But North Korea has a wild card, its nuclear arsenal. Even a single nuclear strike could devastate Tokyo or other major cities and draw in the United States immediately. The risk of escalation is terrifying. Yet, Japan's alliance with the U.S., backed by modern missile defense, ensures that any attack comes at an unimaginable cost for Pyongyang. North Korea could unleash missiles, terrorize neighboring countries, and create chaos, but in the end, Japan and its allies hold a strategic advantage. Economically, the gap widens further. Japan's strong economy supports sustained military operations, while North Korea's fragile infrastructure and reliance on limited resources would crumble under prolonged conflict. South Korea would inevitably be caught in the crossfire, suffering massive civilian casualties, while the global economy would tremble from disrupted trade and energy supplies. In a conventional war, Japan emerges victorious, but the price of even a short conflict is catastrophic. Nuclear weapons, regional instability, and humanitarian crises turn what might seem like a straightforward military outcome into a nightmare scenario for everyone involved. Ultimately, North Korea loses, militarily and economically, but in this kind of war, there are no true winners. North Korea is often portrayed as a formidable military force, and on paper it is, with a standing army of over 2 million active personnel and a reserve force that exceeds several million more. North Korea can field one of the largest armies in the world. Its artillery is especially noteworthy, with thousands of pieces positioned near the demilitarized zone, capable of striking Seoul within minutes. This sheer volume of troops and firepower gives North Korea an intimidating presence, and its military strategy often relies on overwhelming numbers and aggressive posturing. The regime has also invested heavily in missile technology over the past 2 decades, developing short, medium, and even intercontinental ballistic missiles capable of reaching Japan and potentially the United States. Nuclear weapons act as a critical deterrent, giving Pyongyang leverage in international negotiations and ensuring that any conventional conflict carries the risk of catastrophic escalation. However, beneath these apparent strengths lie significant vulnerabilities that could determine the outcome of any war. One of the most critical weaknesses is the technological gap between North Korea and modern militaries such as Japan's. Much of North Korea's conventional arsenal, including tanks, artillery, and small arms, is outdated, often relying on Soviet-era designs that are decades old. While they have numbers, these systems are less effective against modern missile defenses, precision-guided munitions, and advanced electronic warfare technologies. North Korea also relies heavily on conscripted soldiers, many of whom have minimal training and limited combat experience, which affects the overall effectiveness of its forces in a sustained conflict. Logistics and infrastructure are another serious limitation. North Korea's economy is fragile, heavily dependent on state-controlled resources, and constrained by international sanctions. Fuel, spare parts, and food for troops are limited, meaning that prolonged operations could quickly become unsustainable. Communication and command structures are also less advanced, raising the risk of coordination failures during fast-moving battles. Additionally, North Korea's leadership depends on tight internal control and propaganda, so any signs of military failure could have destabilizing political consequences, affecting morale and the regime's ability to maintain cohesion among its forces. Despite these weaknesses, North Korea's strategic positioning near South Korea and Japan allows it to project significant threat potential. Its artillery near the DMZ can wreak havoc on urban centers, while its missile programs provide asymmetric capabilities that can disrupt enemy plans. The regime's focus on deterrence through both conventional and nuclear threats makes it a dangerous actor, capable of inflicting serious damage before being stopped. Japan may not have the sheer numbers that North Korea possesses, but what it lacks in manpower, it more than compensates for with technological superiority, advanced weaponry, and a highly professional military structure. The Japanese Self-Defense Forces JSDF are equipped with some of the most modern fighter jets in the world, including the F-35 stealth multirole aircraft, capable of evading radar and striking targets with precision from long distances. Its air force is backed by cutting-edge radar systems, electronic warfare capabilities, and advanced surveillance networks, allowing Japan to detect and respond to threats quickly. In a conflict scenario, this technological edge would allow Japan to target key North Korean military assets before they can be fully deployed, reducing the effectiveness of Pyongyang's large army and artillery. Japan's naval power is equally formidable. The Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force JMSDF operates Aegis-equipped destroyers capable of intercepting missiles mid-flight, as well as submarines, frigates, and support vessels that ensure sea control in regional waters. Given that Japan is an island nation, maintaining control over surrounding seas is critical, and its naval assets provide both defensive and offensive options. North Korea, with its limited navy, would struggle to project power beyond its coastal waters, leaving it vulnerable to Japanese strikes from both sea and air. Japan also possesses long-range missile systems capable of neutralizing threats at a distance, including ballistic missile interceptors that can counter North Korea's missile arsenal. Another key advantage lies in Japan's highly trained and professional military personnel. Unlike North Korea, which relies largely on conscripted soldiers, the JSDF comprises volunteers who undergo rigorous training, combined arms exercises, and joint drills with the United States and other allies. This ensures operational efficiency, strategic flexibility, and the ability to execute complex maneuvers that could overwhelm less disciplined forces. The emphasis on training and readiness translates into effective command, control, and coordination during high-pressure situations. Japan's technological edge also extends to intelligence and cyber capabilities. Advanced surveillance satellites, reconnaissance drones, and secure communication systems allow Japan to monitor enemy movements.
Yeah, a brothel. He wants a brothel.
In real.
He wants to be able to have a brothel. Can we please send this small group of men to space? It ain't a small group. It's a lot of them. It's a lot of them. Yes, and Bibi Netanyahu too. And that other former prime minister that had his hands around old girl neck. Ukraine peace still alive. They say Ukraine is denying, so you know what? That may be Trump. You never know. You never know. You never know. Because what was that? The guy that was talking to Tucker Carlson when Tucker was over in, was it Bali or somewhere? I can't remember. And Trump had been lying and blaming them for a war, a strike that he never did over in Israel. And come to find out that they be lying. They be lying to try to get people all wrapped up emotionally into thinking that somebody was attacking them. And hell, it was friendly fire. I don't believe none of it no more. I need to see them do it. I need to see it. So now Japan and Korea. Yeah, I think, okay, let me get to this. Where are my likes? Oh, okay, yeah, I'm finna get ready to go. I need to play this one is quick. Let's see what this one is saying.
Democratic filings. We are now privy to a finding from the Epstein documents that is as disturbing as it is revealing.
I need to go here.
It appears that in 2018...
I need to go here. Hold on, because it's in the title. I need to go here. Hold on.
Folks, I need to tell you about something that just...
Y'all get the likes up. Please double tap the face of your screen. It's 222 people in here. You just come in, double tap. Just like that, the face of your phone. It don't cost a thing. It's not going to charge you for nothing. It's just simply saying thank you for bringing the tea. If you're not on your phone listening in, there are 3 dots on your computer or tablet at the very top. Right in that'll take you to the thumbs up. Can y'all please take care of that real quick? Come on, people, hit the like button. Queen says, stop playing. Y'all play too much. Just double tap real quick. Don't cost you nothing. Cost you nothing. Cost you nothing. That's why I don't like playing with y'all. Y'all want the good tea for nothing. You don't even want to tap the face of your phone. What you over here for? What are you over here for? You want to hear me say this, that, and the other. You want me to break it down. You want me to find it for you. You want me to do everything. And you don't want to say thank you. Thank you. on the face of your phone that you holding. Just say thank you. I'm going to start asking y'all who raised you. Ain't no home training. Oh my God.
Happened, something that should alarm every single American. Trump's doctor has quit. Dr. Sean Conley, the White House physician responsible for treating Donald Trump, has...
Now y'all ready to hit the like button now? His doctor. Doctor. I got him loving you. Yeah, the doctor. The one that's been trying to help him stay alive when it's probably time to go. Double tap the face of the phone that you're listening, that your ear hustling. You listening with your good ear. Said the doctor quit and my numbers jumped up to 252. Go ahead and leave, please. Leave, please. Hey, thank you for everything you do, ain't it? And keep your antennas up. I be listening, don't I be rich? Woo! I be trying to keep y'all 10 steps ahead of the game, so we won't be falling for the banana and the tail pop. Hell, I don't like bananas, no way. I just like pudding and cookies. I don't want no bananas that's gonna be turning brown in my banana pudding. No. I don't like playing with bananas. That is truly for monkeys. Let's go.
Folks, I need to tell you about something that just happened, something that should alarm every single American. Trump's doctor has quit. Dr. Sean Conley, the White House physician,
that's why his ass is in Mar-A-Lago and not at the White House.
Resigned. And this wasn't because he landed a better position.
Did y'all hear that? I think that's why his ass been in Mar-A-Lago and not at the White House, because he been having them visits, them MRIs, yeah, that tells him his IQ score. He's so slow.
Wasn't because he wanted more time with his family. He stepped down because the White House pressured him to sign a medical report claiming Trump is in outstanding health, and Dr. Conley refused to lie.
So Doctor said,
what Dr. Conley actually...
Dr. Conley say you lying to me? Oh, yeah, yeah. I'm pudding in cookies. This dude done, he done quit. He said, you lying to me? You want me to do what? Baby, first of all, I shouldn't have had to be painting your hand to cover scars with your collapsed veins and shit while you trying to get these transfusions like you ate a monster some damn body. Oh, so y'all taking away likes. Okay, I got something for that. Yeah, just when it's about to get good, I'm going to have it spinning on your ass like I did the last time. I'm going to be out of here. They doctor could lose their license. But hell, them fake attorneys and the Pam Bundy, she could be disbarred and put in jail. And but see, they were thinking that Trump would be able to cover them and pardon them. Hell, I was supposed to talk about them pardons, but y'all not getting the likes up, and y'all trying to take them back. Like I'm gonna give it to you anyway. And wrong, not on this live. Not on this one. Yeah, y'all want to play Indian giver to me? Then that means the tea I have for you, I'ma yank it back and give it to somebody else on another platform. I ain't gonna play with y'all. I was giving Room Shaker supporters the tea the other day. I was on her platform yesterday when I wasn't on mine because y'all don't want to act right. You go, girl. Thank you, Judy Ramirez. Don't make me suffer, Queen. I mean, people, Judy, can you hit the like button for me, please? Rachel, you looking at me like, what? AunTeaFee, please don't do that to us. And they trying to take likes back, Judy. Janet, baby, please. What I say, baby boom. Baby boom. I sure was. I gave them good tea. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm gonna play with no Indian
down
givers.
because the White House pressured him to sign a medical report claiming Trump is in outstanding health, and down because the White House pressured him to sign a medical report claiming Trump is in outstanding health, and Dr. Conley refused to lie. So before I explain what Dr. Conley actually observed, why he couldn't put his name on that report, and what the incoming doctor did that could warrant losing his medical license, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now, because this goes far beyond one physician walking away. This points to a coordinated effort to conceal the president's true health, and we're only beginning to see how serious it is. Let me break down exactly how this unfolded, because the sequence of events is incredibly
It was really
damning.
spontaneous.
Dr. Sean Conley has served
it was spontaneous, but I did recommend that she start doing content. You know, I feel like if they can bring the drama, they can bring real life tea. And she took my suggestion. So I was in there, she saw me, she asked me to come up, and she asked me some questions. And you know, once I start talking about the truth, it's on and popping. And that's kind of how it happened. And then she said, AunTeaFee, unblock me. I be over there and you don't see me over there. And I said, okay. So that's how that happened. Let's go.
Trump's physician since the first term, a Navy doctor, flawless credentials.
So he's a Navy doctor.
Medical ethics seriously. For months, Conley had been performing routine checkups on the president, the usual process, blood pressure readings, cognitive screenings, full physical evaluations. But recently, the White House handed him a pre-written medical report and told him to sign it. The report declared that Donald Trump is in exceptional health with no president, the usual process, blood pressure readings, cognitive screenings, full physical evaluations. But recently, the White House handed him a pre-written medical report and told him to sign it. The report declared that Donald Trump is in exceptional health with no concerns whatsoever. Dr. Conley read the report, then he read his own medical notes, and he realized he couldn't sign it because what the White House wanted him to say didn't match what he'd actually observed. So Conley did something incredibly rare in Washington. He said no. He told the White House he wouldn't sign a document he knew was medically inaccurate. And within 48 hours, Dr. Sean Conley was no longer the White House physician. Now here's where it gets really disturbing.
You know what? I got a quick story, real quick. Long time ago. I don't want to say their name, but they were some Africans that had home health care. And they needed, thank you, Aloha Kitty. So part-time, I would help them in their office. And, I want to say their name so bad, but I can't. But they would want, they told me coming in, my sister knew them. My sister did real estate for them. And they told me coming in, you know, don't do nothing, whatever you do, you know, once the state and stuff come in there, you will be responsible, da 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 da. You know, and I'm like, cool, I don't have no problem with that. But there came a time where they wanted me to kind of, you know, do some little trickery with some numbers. Or bill for stuff that when the employees came, you know, add something to their, you know, they no. So it came a time when the state fell up in there unannounced because they were sure doing some tricky shit. And baby, when them people came up in there unexpectedly asking for this files, and I call her and him to tell them that the state was there and they wanted these files, da 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 da. And she was like, just sign it. I said, I'm not signing nothing. I'm not putting my signature on Nadine. Do you hear me? And then she was like, bring those files to me. Bring those files to me. I'm gonna come around the back and you bring those files to me. No! These people are waiting for you. They're waiting for you, boo-boo. You want me to do what? I can laugh about it now. Baby, because she was saying, just sign, just can you go in there, sign? Just sign. I said, sign what? My name? Oh, you can sign my name. I said, oh no, I can't sign your name for you. No, ma'am. Here I go. I'm already knowing why they don't want to come up in there. Here I go. Why can't you come? If you can tell me to meet you around back, why you just can't come in and talk to them? What? I'm playing dumb. You know how we do. Playing dumb. You trying to play in my face, so guess what? I'm going to play in yours. Oh no, I ain't never looked. No, I can't. Yes, you can. I said, yes, you can. Yes, you can. You can sign it, sign. I don't know, ma'am. No, ma'am. And you done already told me that I would be responsible for any errors? Baby. She asked me to bring her a box, the people the files that they was looking for. She asked me to bring them to her around back. She gonna come around the back. And she was highly pissed at me for not signing her. I wish I would. What? So I know exactly how this doctor feel, big time. Yeah, I'm not finna lie for you, and then I'm gonna have to go before them people. The feds? That's the feds. Y'all stealing money? I ain't getting none of the money y'all stealing. Lord, how many home healths you done had? Yeah, that's why you had so many under all them different names and shit. Because you have been doing bogus stuff. Absolutely. I heard and left the office, did you?
Conley did something incredibly rare.
Maybe about 9 months. Was it about 9 months? Yeah, Alice. I need to see where Alice used to. She started around the same time I did, and she left before I did. They pissed her off or something happened, but she was in Fort Worth. Yeah, and I had never done that before. Left the door wide open. Baby, when you come to me to telling me I can sign something for you, sign your signature. Oh, no, I ain't gonna be able to, and would get mad, cause you would have thrown you. Absolutely. She said they're coming in. She said they're coming in. Like I wasn't gonna remember. You said I am responsible for whatever. Oh no. And the mere fact that you scared. Yeah, so you intentionally didn't sign it, waiting for the day that you could have me or Alice to sign it on your behalf. I ain't signing shit. And if Alice was here, I would tell her not to sign my thing. Are you crazy? Hell no. Yeah. Yeah. I think she was from that kings and queens over in Nigeria. Baby, you better go on back over there. Go on back over there, because you ain't no queen or king over here. And they think that we lazy as hell anyway. Okay, well, I'm too lazy to sign your name. How about that? Let's go, doctor. So the doctor left the job.
Let me break down exactly how this unfolded.
Let me start. There we go. Hell no.
This is incredibly damning. Dr. Sean Conley has served as Trump's physician since the first term. A Navy doctor. Flawless credentials. A man who took medical ethics seriously. A scooter
for what?
For months, Conley had been performing routine checkups on the president The usual process, blood pressure readings, cognitive screenings, full physical evaluations. But recently, the White House handed him a pre-written medical report and told him to sign it. The report declared that Donald Trump is in exceptional health with no concerns whatsoever. Dr. Conley read the report, then he read his own medical notes, and he realized he couldn't sign it because what the White House wanted him to say didn't match what he'd actually observed. So Conley did something incredibly rare in Washington. He said no. He told the White House he wouldn't sign a document he knew was medically inaccurate.
Oh, no.
And within 48 hours, Dr. Sean Conley was no longer the White House physician. Now, here's where it gets really disturbing. The White House moved fast to install a replacement, Dr. Kevin O'Connor. And what Dr. O'Connor did next should outrage anyone who understands even the basics of medical ethics. He signed the very same.
So we know every time they say he perfect health or he is in better health than anybody at his age, everybody turn their lip up there and be like, that ain't what Conley said. I see you don't went got O'Connor. No, we ain't going. He's sick as a dog. If you got to lie about his health, he's sick as dogs. Yeah, I saw an animal. Look, let me tell you. I sent this to Matt, poor doctor. He gonna be all right. He gonna be all right. I sent this earlier. Hold on. He's sick like this right here. Hold on. I don't even know if I sent this the way it was supposed to go. Hold on. I know I sent it to Max. This what he gonna look like in a minute. They done put some heebie-jeebie. They giving animals them shots that they trying to get to us to see how it. And then they gonna cut that pig up and serve it.
On TikTok, or I believe it was on Instagram.
And they gonna serve that damn pig. And folk gonna eat it. And they done gave that pig a virus. And look at this how Trump gonna be moving. Sick as a damn more than a dog. Sick pig. Yeah, no, I wouldn't. That's why I didn't want to show it. Poor pig. Yeah, I don't want no pork. I'm glad I don't eat it. I'm glad I don't. No, see, they playing with our food. You don't know what they doing. No, so you see some folk walking around shaking, and y'all gonna remember that they got doctors and Fauci's and Bill Gates, and they playing chemists. Plan trying to what is it called? Depopulation. Yeah, and you're gonna be walking around shaking. You're gonna be like, oh Lord, he took that cocktail. She took that cocktail. There we go.
Where it gets really disturbing. The White House moved fast to install a replacement, Dr. Kevin O'Connor. And what Dr. O'Connor did next should outrage anyone who understands even the basics of medical ethics. He signed the very same report Conley had refused to approve without performing his own examination, without reviewing Conley's medical files, without carrying out any independent evaluation at all.
Checked him.
He simply put his name on a document declaring the president to be in exceptional health, passed it along to the press office, and went on with his day. That isn't medical care. That's deception. Now, let me explain what insiders inside the White House say forced Dr. Conley to walk away. During a cabinet meeting 3 weeks ago, an incident occurred that deeply unsettled everyone present. Trump was in the middle of discussing trade policy when he abruptly stopped speaking. This wasn't a moment to gather his thoughts. It wasn't a calculated pause. He froze. His face went blank, his eyes fixed on nothing. For nearly 2 full minutes, the President of the United States did not respond. Cabinet members exchanged uneasy glances. The Chief of Staff attempted to get his attention. There was no reaction. Then, just as suddenly as it began, Trump resumed speaking, continuing as though nothing had happened. Dr. Conley witnessed the episode firsthand. He documented it immediately in his medical records. And that wasn't an isolated case. According to sources familiar with Conley's notes, over the last 6 months, he logged 12 separate cognitive episodes, 12 instances of confusion, disorientation, or memory loss severe enough to alarm the physician. There were episodes where Trump couldn't recall the names of cabinet officials he himself had appointed. Times when he told the same story 3 times in a single meeting, completely unaware he'd already said it. Moments when he appeared confused about what city he was in or which event he was supposed to be attending. That's why Dr. Conley could not sign that report, because he had personally observed and carefully documented a clear pattern of cognitive deterioration. And when the White House demanded that he certify everything was normal, he refused. His professional ethics simply wouldn't allow it. But this is where the situation shifts from troubling to outright criminal. After Dr. Conley declined to sign the report, the White House didn't let it go. Instead, they initiated a pressure campaign. Trump's personal attorneys reached out to Conley directly. They referenced confidentiality agreements he had signed. They warned that sharing information contradicting the official White House narrative could bring legal repercussions. They even hinted that the future of his medical career could depend on how he handled the situation.
What was that called? For him to sit there and staring and not making
and it was being directed at a physician over medical documentation. And here's the most disturbing part of all. They asked Dr. Conley to backdate documents.
What made him
They wanted him to go back into his medical records and alter the dates on certain observations to make it look a clear pattern of cognitive deterioration. And when the White House demanded that he certify everything was normal,
he refused.
His professional thing. That's why Dr. Conley could not sign that report, because he had personally observed and carefully documented a clear pattern of cognitive deterioration. And when the White House demanded that he certify everything was normal, he refused. His professional ethics simply wouldn't allow it. But this is where the situation shifts from troubling to outright criminal. After Dr. Conley declined to sign the report, the White House didn't let it go. Instead, they initiated a pressure campaign. Trump's personal attorneys reached out to Conley directly. They referenced confidentiality agreements he had signed. They warned that sharing information contradicting the official White House narrative could bring legal repercussions. They even hinted that the future of his medical career could depend on how he handled the situation. That's witness intimidation, plain and simple. And it was being directed at a physician over medical documentation. And here's the most disturbing part of all. They asked Dr. Conley to backdate documents. They wanted him to go back into his medical records and alter the dates on certain observations to make it look like concerning incidents happened longer ago than they actually did. That isn't merely unethical. That's the illegal destruction of medical evidence. Dr. Conley refused to comply, and that refusal sealed his fate. They removed him completely. And this isn't the first time Trump has reacted this way when a doctor tells the truth. Think back to Dr. Harold Bornstein, Trump's longtime personal physician. In 2018, Bornstein gave an interview where he briefly mentioned that Trump used medication for hair growth, a casual reference to Propecia. Within hours, Trump's bodyguard and 2 other individuals arrived at Bornstein's office, demanded Trump's medical records, and took them. Bornstein later described the incident as a raid. He said he felt violated. That's the pattern. That's how Trump treats doctors who reveal even the smallest, most harmless detail about his health. So when Dr. Conley recognized that pattern and realized he was being asked to conceal serious cognitive concerns, he faced a clear choice: abandon his medical ethics or lose his position. He chose his ethics, and now he's gone. Now we need to talk about Dr. Kevin O'Connor, because his actions are impossible to defend. Dr. O'Connor is a licensed physician with legitimate credentials. He previously served as physician to Vice President Biden. He understands the rules. He knows the ethical standards doctors are expected to follow. And yet he signed off on a report certifying Trump's health without ever examining the patient. He did not review Dr. Conley's detailed medical notes. He did not perform an independent cognitive evaluation. He did not order tests, imaging, or follow-up assessments. He simply accepted a pre-written White House statement and added his signature. That document now states, with Dr. O'Connor's medical authority attached, that Donald Trump is in exceptional health and has no cognitive concerns whatsoever. But Dr. O'Connor has no way of knowing whether any of that is accurate because he never bothered to confirm it. We've seen this exact scenario before. During Trump's first term, Dr. Ronnie Jackson famously claimed Trump could live to 200 years and possessed incredible genes. Jackson was later rewarded with a promotion for that display of loyalty. It's the same pattern repeating itself. Doctors who stick to the truth are pressured, threatened, or pushed out. Doctors who are willing to bend reality are elevated and rewarded. And the American people are kept completely in the dark. Some will try to dismiss this as speculation, arguing that we don't know exactly what Dr. Conley witnessed. But here's what we do know for a fact. A respected military physician resigned rather than sign a specific medical report. That physician is reportedly in contact with congressional investigators. The replacement doctor signed the same report without conducting an examination. Trump has a documented history of threatening doctors who tell the truth. And Trump has been exhibiting increasingly erratic behavior that experts have publicly questioned. The late-night social media tirades, the visible moments of confusion at public appearances, the same anecdotes repeated multiple times within a single speech. None of this is normal for someone in their late 70s, especially not for someone entrusted with nuclear authority. The President of the United States holds the most powerful office on the planet. That role carries the ability to ignite wars, dismantle alliances, and destabilize the global economy with a single decision. We have an absolute right to know whether the person in that position is cognitively fit to carry out those responsibilities. And what the Dr. Conley episode makes clear is this: there is an organized effort to conceal the truth. This is not about party politics. This isn't Republican versus Democrat. This is about whether the individual with access to life and death decisions is mentally capable of making them. Dr. Sean Conley walked away from the most prestigious medical post in the nation rather than participate in a lie. Doctors don't do that without a reason. They do it because what they saw frightened them enough that they couldn't help cover it up. And now that role is filled by a doctor willing to sign whatever document is placed in front of him. That should alarm every single American, no matter where you fall politically. Because if we can't trust the truth about a president's health, then what can we trust? Thank you for watching. Hit that subscribe button. Share this with anyone who believes presidential health transparency doesn't matter. Because right now we're facing a reality where a president's own physician resigned rather than lie, and his replacement is willing to sign off on anything. That isn't medical care. That's a cover-up, and the American people deserve far better. Good night, everyone.
Good. Thank you for letting us know. You got to get in front of these lying-ass people, man. You got to get in front of them. They're going to lie in our face. What is wrong with them? Yeah, and so this gonna be the last one, because y'all
often finds that the most profound threats to liberty are not announced with a fanfare, but rather are. One often finds that the most profound threats to liberty are not announced with a fanfare, but rather are buried in the redacted footnotes of bureaucratic filings. We are now privy to a finding from the Epstein documents that is as disturbing as it is revealing.
What lie? Who lied, Teresa?
In 2018 and 2019, the Department of Justice under Donald Trump was engaged in a particularly odious form of state overreach, the surveillance of a free press. The target of this governmental voyeurism was Julie K. Brown of the Miami Herald, the very journalist whose tenacity is credited with reopening the investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. Her series, aptly titled Perversion of Justice, forced a reluctant legal system to finally act. Yet, while she was performing this essential public service, the Trump DOJ and FBI were, it seems, monitoring her movements, tracking her flights, and digging into personal details as trivial as her maiden name. One must ask, what legitimate interest does the federal government have in the travel itinerary of a reporter? Ms. Brown herself has expressed appropriate horror, noting that her flight information from July 2019, mere weeks before Epstein's death, was attached to a grand jury subpoena. This occurred not during a time of national
Biden
emergency.
did win. What are you talking about, dumbass? Biden did win. What are you talking about? Yeah, shut up. You are a troll. Your dumb ass ain't even smart enough that you can show your own self. So go play with yourself or go bend over and let Trump play in your butt. But Biden did win. What are you talking about, dum-dum? Yeah, Biden did win. The only time he ran, he won. So what you talking about? You slow. You still on the little yellow bus, ain't you? Yeah. Go check with your mama and see who she let play with you when you was little, cause you like this touchy-feely type shit. And you slow. Why does all of y'all seem like y'all ain't got no common sense, no book sense? Y'all can't even read. You just like to talk. Go talk to somebody else. Yeah, dumb, slow. Row. I wish I could. Looking ass. Yeah.
But during the first Trump regime, suggesting a weaponization of the Justice Department to shadow a journalist whose only crime was exposing the truth. Furthermore, Ms. Brown continues to unearth evidence that the powers that be would prefer remained buried. She recently drew attention to a heavily redacted email chain concerning a photograph found on the cellular telephone of Steve Bannon. The image in question features Donald Trump and Ghislaine Maxwell. Prosecutors, in their correspondence, flagged this image as potentially significant, yet it remains hidden from the public eye.
Oh, yeah,
as Ms. Brown rightly asserts, there is no defensible justification for this redaction. It is instructive to recall the scope of Ms. Brown's reporting. She detailed how Alexander Acosta, a future Trump cabinet member, orchestrated a sweetheart deal for a serial predator in 2007. She chronicled the systematic abuse of underage girls and the institutional failures that allowed it to continue. All the while, as she gave voice to the voiceless, the apparatus of the state was seemingly turned against her. The anxiety of the Trump administration regarding Ms. Brown becomes intelligible when one considers her focus on the modeling agencies operated by both Epstein and Trump. In sworn testimony, a bookkeeper for Epstein's agency revealed that Epstein explicitly wished to model his operation on Mr. Trump's own agency. While we must be precise, this does not prove identical criminality. It does establish that Epstein used his company to import young women on visas, ostensibly for modeling, only to traffic them to parties for the amusement of wealthy men. It is a sordid business relying on the same H-1B visa structures that Mr. Trump utilized, an irony that is undoubtedly lost on the former president given his current vociferous rhetoric on immigration. It is a failure of stewardship that defies comprehension. Mr. Epstein, a convicted sex offender, was ostensibly under the supervision of the U.S. Marshals, yet he was monitored with a negligence that borders on complicity. This allowed him to transform his remote island, Little St. James, into a sanctuary for depravity, accessible only by private transport and entirely insulated from the rule of law. Furthermore, we must scrutinize the treatment of his accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell. It is a curious administrative decision that saw Ms. Maxwell transferred to a minimum security facility, Camp Bryan, rather than the austere confinement her crimes warrant. It is worth noting that this transfer occurred shortly after she was interviewed by Mr. Todd Blanche, the very attorney who now spearheads Donald Trump's criminal defense. The historical record is now being corrected largely due to the persistence of survivors like Maria Farmer. We now know that Ms. Farmer reported these crimes to the Federal Bureau of Investigation as early as 1996. The Bureau, in an act of institutional deafness, ignored her. Had they acted then, decades of abuse might have been prevented. Ms. Farmer describes Ms. Maxwell not merely as an accomplice, but as the indispensable architect of the abuse, a woman who used a veneer of maternal sophistication to groom vulnerable young women for exploitation. Perhaps most illuminating is Ms. Farmer's own account of an encounter with Donald Trump at Epstein's New York office. She recalls sitting in the reception area one evening, dressed in running attire, when Mr. Trump entered. She describes, with palpable disgust, the manner in which he surveyed her as though she were, in her words, his dinner. The situation was clarified only when Mr. Epstein intervened, informing Mr. Trump, No, she is not here for you," before directing the future president to another room where presumably someone else awaited him. This context renders Mr. Trump's current apoplexy regarding the release of these files entirely intelligible. He has taken to social media to denounce the revelations as a Democrat-inspired hoax and to demand that the Justice Department redirect its energies toward his unfounded claims of election fraud. It is a classic exercise in projection. The man who has so loudly complained of being the victim of governmental spying appears to have presided over an administration that utilized the apparatus of the state to spy on a journalist exposing a child sex trafficking ring. There remain significant lacunae in the official record. We are aware of over 1 million records missing from the Southern District of New York. Furthermore, internal correspondence from 2008 reveals that prosecutors were aware Mr. Trump traveled on Epstein's aircraft far more frequently than had been publicly acknowledged. These are matters of the utmost gravity. I invite you to subscribe to this channel as we continue to analyze these
Okay, y'all, I'll be back later. 500 people in here. I'll be back later.